Chapter 1304. He did not need to use the heart of Heavenly Sun to transform the true Yang fire. He could directly temper his bones like steel and forge the Yuan Yang heavenly bones. But this was different from the past. The golden dragon shadow between Su Yi's eyebrows and chest shone, and the dragon patterns on his bones rippled with divine radiance. Every bone became golden red and translucent, constantly emitting a scorching and fierce aura. In addition, Su Yi's body of the Vajra had become more condensed and solid. Even if he was a half-step origin grandmaster, Su Yi would not need the help of the demon god battlesuit and could fight alone for dozens of breaths. The great void divine, Xi, was already in turmoil. Vital qi was surging like seawater. It was waiting for Su Yi to wake up so that he could break through at any time. Su Yi's aura was domineering and powerful. There was also a faint dragon's aura. The golden dragon shadow in the Tian Yuan demon soul was also materializing. It resonated with the purple Tian Yuan demon soul in Su Yi's mind and let out dragon roars. As the dragon's aura dissipated, Su Yi's flesh and blood reached a new peak. The mighty aura lingered in the air for a long time. Above the sky, the layers of ancient beast shadows began to disappear along with the dissipation of the primordial golden dragon. In the sky, only the golden eye that had just destroyed everything was left. Su Yi was shocked by everything in front of him. He did not know if he was in an illusion or reality. If it was an illusion, then everything in front of him was so real. The white mist in the air dissipated. Su Yi found himself on a sea cliff. In the distance, the setting sun was as red as blood. The red haze adorned the void above. The giant golden eye once again occupied the void. Its mighty aura was unparalleled. With a domineering aura that could destroy everything, it stared at Su Yi, who had just woken up. The whole world was filled with light and a demonic aura. Destruction, nirvana, rebirth? The Phoenix God was right. You are indeed a special human. Congratulations, you have successfully passed the trial of the great golden-winged Peng clan. An ancient heavenly voice floated above the sea cliff. The pair of eyes seemed to have experienced thousands of years. The demonic aura surged like a peerless time master, suppressing billions of lives. Su Yi was shocked. Everything in front of him made Su Yi tremble. The golden eye in the void was the terrifying power that had made him fall into the fire hell. In his mind, the heavenly origin demon soul followed the gaze of the great golden-winged Peng to resist the demonic aura. Great Peng? At this moment, a domineering demon clan supremacy aura gushed out from the cave, not far away. Su Yi frowned, and his eyes emitted a terrifying aura. The Yuan Qi in his body surged as he circulated the Origin Supreme technique. The golden dragon phantom in his mind rolled up and down, and the immemorial dragon aura continued to spread, barely resisting the monstrous demon Qi released from the cave. The sovereign of the monster race is undergoing tribulation. The words of the golden-winged rock set off waves of shock in Su Yi's heart. The demon race's supremacy was synonymous with the world's top power. In the distant cave, the flames were soaring to the sky. Boundless demonic qi was constantly leaking out from the cave. It was much more terrifying than any demonic beast he had encountered so far. It was simply overwhelming in terms of strength. Su Yi's heart tightened as he approached. His heavenly origin demon soul felt like it was being suppressed by an invisible force. Is it because I'm too weak? The demonic race's tribulation was of utmost importance. Back then, when the blood jade spirit ginseng was undergoing tribulation, it had attracted the punishment of heavenly thunder. It could only succeed after 2 tribulations. Now, the golden-winged great rock was directly telling him that the demonic race's supremacy was undergoing tribulation in the distance. He was completely ignoring his own strength. Su Yi thought about it carefully. If this trial space was set up by the golden-winged great Peng, then it was understandable that he was restrained everywhere. Power. His power was ultimately too insignificant. What should he do after leaving this place? This was a problem that Su Yi urgently needed to consider. Su Yi's eyes narrowed. His thoughts were in a mess. He felt that the golden-winged great rock's aura had locked onto him. He immediately became vigilant. The golden-winged great rock seemed to have sensed Su Yi's thoughts. His deep eyes seemed calm, but he did not suppress Su Yi's aura too much. He continued, "Human, you have already passed the trial. Your body has the aura of my demonic race. Before I finish my tribulation, why don't I tell you a few stories? How about it? I was originally from the golden-winged great rock race of the ancient demonic race. Like the peacock and the emperor sparrow, I have the bloodline of the phoenix. I have been on good terms with the dragon race for generations. Just now, when I passed the immemorial dragon's breath into your soul, I felt the aura of the golden dragon race on your body. He should have given you a lot of benefits, right?" So he was moved. The dragon race and the phoenix race had been on good terms for generations. The golden dragon race was the most powerful race among the dragon race and had the longest lifespan. The average lifespan of a golden dragon race was hundreds of thousands of years. As a divine bird race, the phoenix race also had an extremely long lifespan. Back in the golden dragon mystery realm, he had heard the golden dragon talk about these things. The biggest difference between the ancient era and the modern era was that the modern era no longer had peerless powers like the divine dragon and the divine phoenix. Most people regarded the golden dragon and the phoenix as totems and beliefs passed down in the ancient era. No one had ever seen the real dragon and phoenix clan. In this world, if someone knew that the golden dragon and the phoenix race still existed in this world, who knew what kind of bloodbath would occur in the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 ocean world? The power of the people in this world was too weak. What if they could obtain a god? If they could obtain the inheritance of a god and obtain the power of the heavens and earth, it would undoubtedly be very attractive to cultivators. However, Su Yi had obtained 9 complete drops of the golden dragon's essence blood and 3 strands of the golden dragon's soul. What kind of heaven-defying, fortuitous encounter was this? From a mysterious ball of light at the beginning to the ancient scripture of the heavenly fae, the imperial sparrow's essence blood, and the golden dragon's essence blood, they would all bear witness to what a magnificent life Su Yi would begin. Su Yi knew that he had completely passed the golden-winged Great Peng's trial, so he no longer had any doubts. He nodded and told the golden-winged Great Peng everything that had happened in the golden dragon mystery realm. "Ha! That old dragon has also left? They've all left?" The golden-winged Great Peng's golden eyes flickered and his laughter shook the world. The sea cliff also trembled. His voice shook the heavens and carried the domineering might of a superior being. The golden-winged Great Peng's voice paused for a moment. He seemed to have sensed something and revealed a hint of helplessness. The old dragon is still the one who thinks far ahead. He actually forcefully opened up 8 spaces in order to find a descendant. A strange look flashed across Su Yi's eyes. These ancient divine beasts were truly abnormal existences. The golden dragon and the golden-winged Great Peng before him only had a strand of remnant soul, but they were still able to set up such a huge seal. From the ancient times until now, the power of divine beasts was truly legendary. Chapter 1305. The Golden Peng race was a phoenix bloodline on the same level as the Emperor Sparrow. It should also have a powerful ability to suppress the world. It was rumored that in the ancient era, the Golden Peng's wings were golden and could cover the sky. Its claws could split mountains and break rivers. Its golden eyes could compete with the sun and moon. But today, the secret realm only gave him the dragon breath inheritance. Su Yi didn't understand. The Golden Peng's eyes froze. Then he smiled and said to Su Yi, "This is the story I want to tell you. Listen carefully." The Golden Peng's voice trembled. In the ancient era, the Golden Dragon race, the Phoenix race, and the White Tiger race were all extremely powerful. At that time, I was the one with the highest cultivation base among the Golden Peng race's younger generation. The Golden Dragon race also had a talented genius. As for that little dragon, I only learned later that it was the only bloodline of the Golden Dragon god. At that time, the world was vast and boundless. The entire continent wasn't the current 3 continents, 6 prefectures, and 1 ocean. Before that, the 3 continents, 6 prefectures, and 1 ocean were originally one body. On that continent, the divine beasts of each race guarded a region. Occasionally, there would be some small conflicts, but it didn't cause too much of a dispute. But during a competition, I fought for justice and accidentally tore off that golden dragon's bones. Ha ha! Even after so many years, the Golden Pang's voice was still filled with pride when he talked about that high-spirited matter. He was greatly shocked. The golden dragon's physical body was extremely powerful. The golden Pung in front of him was actually able to tear off the golden dragon's bones with 1 claw. Its temper and methods had both reached an unimaginable level. Senior Golden Pung, what happened after that? My Golden Wing clan was born from the Phoenix clan, and we are actually part of the Phoenix clan. The Phoenix clan and the Golden Dragon clan have been on good terms for generations, and together they guard the heaven and earth continent. Lord Divine Phoenix of the Phoenix clan wanted the Golden Ra King to come up with a solution to quell the calamity between the 2 clans. Otherwise, if the 2 clans went to war, the heaven and earth continent would never have peace. Suyi's heart skipped a beat. The Golden Dragon and the Golden Rock. Each of these divine beasts had the power to destroy a first-rate city. Even if it was just a strand of remnant soul, he would still be tortured to death. The more Sui thought about it, the more frightened he became. If the Golden Dragon and the Golden Rock race were to go to war, this continent would no longer exist. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, Su Yi's heart trembled. He probed, "Has the battle started?" Of course not. The Golden Dragon clan has too many branches. Although my Golden Pung clan is powerful, we are only one branch of the Phoenix clan. Lord Golden Pung had no choice but to push me out and let the Golden Dragon clan deal with me. However, that's why I'm willing to be captured. The heavens are high and the earth is wide. I can fly 36,000 li with a flap of my wings. I can swallow the sun and moon with my mouth and cross mountains and rivers with my feet. Who dares to stop me? After that, I killed a few more small dragons. After that, the entire Golden Dragon clan was enraged. They were afraid that a war between the divine beasts would break out. The Phoenix clan was also looking for me in the heavens and earth. Suyi's expression changed slightly. The temperament of this golden-winged Great Pung was quite similar to his own, walking between the heavens and earth just by relying on his lofty sentiments. He could control his own fate and not the heavens. If God blocked him, he would kill God. If Buddha blocked him, he would kill Buddha. Immediately, he had a good impression of the golden-winged Great Pung in front of him. The Golden Dragon paused, as if he was thinking about the past. He couldn't help but be moved. I've known that Golden Dragon since we were young. However, he is the only bloodline of the Golden Dragon God. As his strength continued to increase, the violent aura on his body became more and more serious. Once, I heard that he was cultivating in the Jade Slaughter Sea and encountered a small spiritual nether snake. I happened to be nearby and went to find him to talk about old times. He raised his eyebrows. The small snake in the eyes of the Golden Dragon wasn't much smaller than a mountain range in the eyes of the present world. Suddenly, the void trembled and the clouds surged. The golden-winged Great Pang's eyes burned with anger. But for his own selfish desires, he wanted to take the small spiritual nether snake for himself and help it cultivate. That small snake fled for 9 days and 9 nights, but it still couldn't escape from the evil dragon's evil clutches. By the time I arrived, the small snake was already on the verge of death. As a fellow divine beast, he actually did such a despicable thing for the sake of cultivation. The anger in my heart was immediately ignited, and I immediately fought with him for 3 days and 3 nights. That battle caused the weather to change, volcanoes to erupt, and mountains and rivers to reverse. The Golden Dragon recalled the thrill of that battle, his eyes occasionally surging with light. He clapped his hands and cheered. In ancient times, the Divine Beast clan also had such a despicable dragon. According to his personality, he would definitely skin him and pull out his tendons to teach him a good lesson. The golden-winged Great Pung was willing to risk universal condemnation and offend the Golden Dragon clan for the sake of small snake he had never met before. This courage made Su Yi's blood boil. A surge of battle intent surged as the golden-winged Great Peng spoke. "Senior Great Peng, this junior admires you." Su Yi's eyes were full of praise. The golden-winged Great Peng smiled and looked at Su Yi. "After that, I was finally found by the Phoenix clan in Ironwind Valley. During this time, my Phoenix clan had already fought with the Golden Dragon clan several times. Each time, both sides suffered heavy losses. In order to quell the conflict, I finally took out my own Great Peng's golden pearl and had the Phoenix god give it to the Golden Dragon clan. A life for a life. The golden-winged Great Peng was truly a righteous person. He didn't know if it was because he cultivated the Origin Supreme art, but Su Yi had always felt a sense of closeness to ancient divine beasts and demonic beasts. Hearing that the golden-winged Great Peng was willing to exchange his life for the safety of his clan, his blood trembled. Did the Emperor Sparrow's essence blood sense something? "Thank you." Su Yi couldn't help but say these words. After saying this, Su Yi's blood emitted a warm feeling that enveloped Su Yi, making him feel very comfortable. You have the Emperor Sparrow's essence blood in your body, so you should have some faint memories of the Emperor Sparrow. The golden-winged Great Peng emotionally said, "After losing the Great Peng's golden pearl, my cultivation greatly decreased and my body lost its strength. I only became a strand of remnant soul. The old Phoenix god went to the battlefield and found the dragon bone. He refined the dragon's aura and used it as a vessel for my soul. Because of this, he specially set up this spatial enchantment and created a space of its own. This allowed my soul to survive for so many years." Su Yi came to a sudden realization. So this space was actually personally set up by the Phoenix god. No wonder it had such a huge amount of energy. If this spatial barrier was really used as a trial, there were probably not many experts in the world who would be able to walk out of it alive. The golden-winged Great Peng had lost its monstrous power. It must be in so much pain that it wanted to die. All of its efforts were given to its enemy. Who could understand that kind of unwillingness? Suddenly, Su Yi's thoughts changed. The golden-winged Great Peng's remnant soul was stored by the dragon bone's aura. That golden-winged Great Peng had given the dragon's aura to him. Senior golden-winged Great Peng, then you. Chapter 1306. The golden dragon's voice was no longer as powerful as before. It sounded a little weak as it said faintly, "The golden dragon and my Phoenix clan are both divine beasts that guard the heaven and earth continent. Even if that evil dragon appeared, it was only a rare occurrence. Most of the divine beasts were once the masters of the heaven and earth continent. They are pure in nature, and when faced with a great calamity, they can unite against a common enemy and fight against it together. When the old Phoenix god brought me to this spirit boundary, I was already a wisp of spirit. After that, my spirit merged with the dragon's breath, and I finally recovered less than 10% of my strength. The Phoenix god told me that I was not in the wrong, but sometimes it is difficult to distinguish right from wrong. Such an encounter is also a result of fate. Later on, I found out that the old Phoenix god was right. Everything is because of that Archean calamity." At this point, the golden rock's eyes flickered. It was as if the stars were moving and the universe was in turmoil. Faintly, there was a terrifying scene of mountains and rivers collapsing and the sun and moon being turned upside down. Its voice trembled slightly as it continued speaking. "At first, I thought that I would fight to the death in the secret realm. Later on, the outside world experienced a great calamity, and I was lucky to have escaped. However, my clan members, the White Tiger clan, the Black Tortoise clan, and the Golden Dragon clan, were all annihilated in that calamity." Su Yi had too many doubts in his heart. In the secret realm of ominous spirits, when the giant skeleton was burning, it had left a request for Su Yi to protect its clan members. The Golden Dragon had also asked Su Yi to look for it when he reached the Origin Ancestor realm within 3 years. What exactly had happened? Su Yi was puzzled. What exactly is the Archean calamity? I don't know either. I have always been in the secret realm. However, I know that when the old phoenix god sent me in, it must have sensed a strange phenomenon in heaven and earth. Otherwise, it would not have gone through so much trouble to find the dragon bone for me, so that I could be ordered to guard this place and have the ability to open the secret realm and find the inheritance. Originally, the heaven and earth continent was much bigger than the 3 continents, 6 prefectures, and 1 ocean now. The reason it became like this is because of the Archean calamity. The golden rock's voice trembled slightly. It was still unable to forget the calamity brought about by the Archean calamity. The divine beasts were wiped out and the continent collapsed. The calamity caused by the primordial great calamity was actually so terrifying. Suddenly, Su-Yi felt as if his world was collapsing. Originally, Su-Yi had thought that conquering the Chaos Realm, establishing a first-rate sect, overturning the Holy Mountain, and trampling on his enemies was his greatest goal. Su-Yi fell in a deep thought. Compared to the universe, he was just a drop in the ocean. In front of the divine beast's remnant soul, he had no power to resist. How many unknowns in this world were waiting for him to explore? The 3 continents, 6 prefectures, and 1 ocean. The Chaos region and the barbaric demon forest formed the current world. Su-Yi had spent more than 10 years on the barbaric demon forest. How many martial arts experts did the other prefectures have? The Sacred Mountain was the most powerful force in the Central State. What kind of position did the Sacred Mountain have in the 3 continents, 6 continents, and 1 sea? At this moment, Su-Yi had a bold hypothesis in his heart. The primordial great calamity had brought about the destruction and reorganization of a universe. Then, could the 3 continents, 6 prefectures, and 1 sea be just an inch of land in the vast universe? Su-Yi swallowed a mouthful of saliva and suppressed the astonishment in his heart. Su-Yi's heart was filled with pride. His mysterious light ball had always been mysterious. It might be a mysterious force that came from beyond the 3 continents, 6 prefectures, and 1 sea. Suddenly, Su-Yi had the idea of traveling to the vast universe. Su-Yi believed that with his mysterious light ball and heavenly origin demon soul, he could reach the peak no matter where he was. The golden rock sensed that Su-Yi's aura was fluctuating, and its eyes rippled. This kid is really something. Just now, the golden dragon aura on his body was very strong. It was inexplicably much stronger than when he entered the secret realm. To be able to resist the supreme aura of the demon race and have such a tenacious soul, he is worthy of being called a peerless genius of a human race. Yes, I made the right decision. The golden rock looked at Su-Yi, who was surging with vitality, and made a decision in its heart. It slowly said, "Human kid, since you have received my dragon aura, can you also help me with something?" Su-Yi knew that there was no free lunch in the world. He had received the dragon aura of the golden-winged rock soul, and even the primordial young heavenly dragon bone, which was even more domineering than the primordial young heavenly bone. The strength of his bones was invincible among those of the same age. No matter what the request was, Su-Yi had to agree. "Senior, if I can do it, I will do my best." Su-Yi looked at the gradually dimming golden eyes in the sky and bowed deeply. "Good." The golden eyes shone with a trace of light. "I originally wanted to find a member of the demon race. Humans are too weak and their minds are too fickle." This old man found it hard to believe. "However, the heavens sent you here. You have the supreme aura of the demon race and the blood essence of the Emperor Sparrow. This is really fate. No matter what method you used, you have already passed the first level of my basic test. In the dense forest, you helped that girl to get in touch with her inner demons and used the holy tears to open the sealed door that I set up. This shows that you have a pure heart. On the way up the mountain, you are tenacious and unyielding. The quality of your soul is comparable to that of the demon race's great gods. You will definitely achieve something great. The Tao of Rebirth shows that you have great wisdom between life and death. I believe in this old dragon's vision. You will definitely be able to reach the top of the world." The golden-winged rock's eyes surged with light. and its voice carried a hint of helplessness. It slowly said, "However, you have the bloodline of the demon race, so you should be able to feel a trace of the aura of the immemorial Great Tribulation. Today, the only surviving member of the Phoenix God's bloodline of my race has entered this old Phoenix God's secret realm. It is the will of the heavens. I hope that you can protect my Phoenix race before the Great Tribulation comes." The earth shook and the mountains shook, and flames soared into the sky. In a cave not far away, a loud phoenix cry sounded. The terrifying aura carried with it a storm of energy. It was like a huge storm was crazily tearing the sea cliff apart. The storm of energy swept along the sea cliff and into the sea, immediately setting off monstrous waves. The waves rolled and shook one's heart. Little Handsome? He circulated the Origin Supreme technique. The dragon's might was impressive, and golden light surrounded his body, rippling with divine radiance. He raised his eyes and stared at the huge change in front of him. He finally understood that the Phoenix God mentioned by the Golden Winged Rock was actually Little Handsome Su. However, wasn't Little Handsome Su waiting for him outside the secret realm? Why did he suddenly come here to undergo the tribulation? This kid agrees. I have a deep fate with the Phoenix race. Little Handsome is my brother. I, Su-yi, will entrust my life to him. I will save him in good or bad times. Those who hurt my brother will be killed. Those who bully my brother will be killed. Heaven and earth, if anyone violates this oath, their divine soul will be destroyed. The Golden Winged Rock was very satisfied. It guessed that the Phoenix God had completed his tribulation. It slowly said in an extremely weak voice, "One last thing. After the immemorial Great Tribulation, the golden rock pearl of my golden winged rock will be lost in the mortal world. If a descendant obtains it, it will be fine if that person is kind. However, if that person is evil, will you be willing to kill that person for me?" Chapter 1308. Every step he took was slow, as if he was still not used to walking after the shape-shifting tribulation. However, every step he took was firm and solid. Wherever he stepped, golden light would spread and gullies would spread. "Boss!" A deep and tender voice came from Little Fatty's body. Little Handsome, he was shocked. He flew up and appeared in front of Little Handsome in a flash. "Little Handsome, is it really you who is undergoing the tribulation here?" He looked at the little fatty before him, who was emitting a mighty aura. He was still in disbelief. Little Handsome looked at Su-yi and his eyes wavered. Then, he closed his eyes and fell into Su-yi's arms. He looked extremely weak. Su-yi was shocked. He quickly activated the Origin Supreme technique and transferred his vitality from the Great Void Spirit into Little Handsome's body. Boom! An unparalleled demonic aura repelled the Origin Supreme technique, and the huge force shook Su-yi until he grimaced in pain, his hands trembling nonstop. "It's okay. Don't panic. The Phoenix God has just passed the tribulations and is very weak." An old man walked over slowly. It was the Golden Rock. The golden eye in the sky had disappeared at some point, and an old man with a vast and ancient aura slowly walked over. His silver hair fluttered in the wind, and his body was stooped. He looked haggard, and the wrinkles on his face were like ravines. His eyes were hazy and deep in his eye sockets. He looked at the old man beside him. He knew that the old man was the Golden Rock. He was so old. He suddenly remembered that after the blood jade spirit ginseng passed the tribulations, it was also very weak and collapsed in his mysterious space. He immediately opened up the mysterious space. Dense heaven and earth spiritual chi filled the golden light sea cliff. In the white mysterious space, he carried Little Handsome Su up and placed him beside the spiritual liquid pool. He poured 2 bottles of spiritual liquid into Little Handsome Su and then found a piece of clothing to cover him. Feng Chi quickly walked to Su-yi's side and asked in confusion, "Brother Su-yi? Are you okay? Who is this?" "It's Little Handsome." Before Su-chi could answer, the blood spirit ginseng heard the sound and flashed out of the herb. When it saw Little Handsome Su in front of it, Its mouth couldn't close. It said in surprise, "This little fatty is little handsome Su?" Suyi's expression was grave. He grabbed the blood jasper spirit ginseng and said, "Grandpa Ginseng, it's a long story. Please take care of him for me with Feng Ch. I still need to go out. We're not out of danger yet." Blood jasper ginseng nodded and said, "Well, it seems that little commander has passed the shape-shifting tribulation and needs time to recover. You go out first. You can rest assured that this girl and I are here." Su-yi glanced at handsome Su and walked out of the mysterious space. TSK. Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng looked at handsome Su, who was lying on the ground, and its eyes lit up. "Grandpa Ginseng, is this really little handsome?" Feng Qi asked in disbelief. "Yes, the aura is that bird's, but its cultivation is too heaven-defying." The Blood Jasper Spirit Ginseng sighed. It had experienced hundreds of years to pass the initial tribulation, but this phoenix had already reached the demon grandmaster realm in such a short time. "Heavens, you're not fair." The Blood Jasper Spirit Ginseng's cries were like waves in its heart that could not be calmed down for a long time. The golden-winged great rock did not enter the mysterious space. The rich spiritual chi in front of it made the golden-winged great rock's heart turn upside down. A supreme treasure. This is a supreme treasure. This human boy is indeed extraordinary. This old dragon really has a unique vision. If I still have time, I really want to see how high this human can reach. This aura is so familiar. This is... The golden-winged great rock felt the extremely rich spiritual chi of heaven and earth that covered the sky and earth, and its heart was piercingly cold. The golden-winged great rock's withered face looked especially ancient under the blood-red light of the setting sun. Then it shook its head and smiled bitterly. "Interesting. This is all fate." As soon as it finished speaking, Su-yi walked out of the mysterious space and came to the golden-winged great rock's side. He bowed deeply and said respectfully, "Elder Rock, I'll definitely fulfill my promise. Little Handsome has successfully passed the tribulation, and I've also received the nourishment of your dragon breath. I'm unable to repay the kindness of heaven and earth." The golden-winged great rock's shadow became fainter and fainter. A gratified smile appeared at the corner of its mouth, and it said softly, "Helping the Phoenix God pass the tribulation is something that the Golden Rock clan should do. Unfortunately, my time is almost up, and I was able to find you in a fortuitous encounter. It's truly the fortune of the heavens that you didn't work together to pass the tribulation as brothers. The heavens have blessed us phoenixes." When it finished speaking, the golden-winged great rock's shadow transformed into an incomparably huge golden-winged great rock. Its wings were golden, and its eyes were bright and deep. Its wings stirred up wind, and it flew towards Su-yi with this energy storm. Boom! When the shadow made contact with Su-yi's body, it turned into a pure golden light that filled the sky. Countless golden fragments wrapped around Su-yi's body, forming a golden light shield. The golden wind swept across, and heaven and earth trembled. In an instant, the space rippled, and the aura overflowed. The golden radiance gradually swallowed Su-yi. A vast aura burst out, and Su-yi's figure gradually disappeared. The blazing radiance in his eyes was as dazzling as the heavenly fire. Unlike when he came in, Su-yi's eyes were filled with rippling divine splendor. The pure and holy aura flowed from his limbs and bones into Su-yi's body. "Young human, remember your promise to me." The resplendent golden radiance filled his entire body and resonated with the heavenly origin demon soul in Su-yi's mind. Su-yi only felt a warm current flowing through his blood vessels. His body gradually became limp and very comfortable. His eyes also began to close, and his mind sank into the deep radiance. On the hard ground not far from the swamp, 3 figures restrained their aura and watched from afar. One of them was a man who looked to be less than 30 years old. He was handsome, with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. He was dressed in a white embroidered robe. The woman beside him was tall and slender. Her slim waist was tightly wrapped in a black muslin, outlining an extremely perfect curve. The moonlight poured down, and the silver splendor gently embellished the woman's face. The woman's lips were like cherry blossoms, and her eyebrows were like ink paintings. Her pair of limpid eyes emitted an indescribable charm. The person in front looked to be middle-aged. He was tall and slender, and there were a few silver strands at his temples. His skin was bright and clear, and the corners of his eyes were long and narrow. His eyes revealed a deep look, and his entire person carried a kind of cold and feminine aura. Chapter 1309. Even though they tried their best to restrain their auras, the demonic aura from their bodies still caused the air around them to freeze. The barbaric demonic beasts around them knew that these three were supreme demonic beasts, so they all prostrated themselves and let out low growls from their throats. These three people were the Green Emperor and the two Yiming flood dragons who had agreed to meet up with Su Yi in the secret realm from another direction. After a period of training, the strength of their auras had improved compared to when they had parted ways. It was obvious that they had encountered a lot of fortuitous encounters. Yiming looked at the calm surface of the swamp. The vast surface of the swamp was quiet and serene, and there was no trace of the secret realm at all. It's all because we spent too much time on the Crimson Spirit Black Bull. By the time we got here, there was no trace of the secret realm. According to the barbaric demonic beasts nearby, the Blood Sun sect has been chasing after Master, and Master has been swallowed into the secret realm. Yang Ming's expression was gloomy as killing intent surged from his eyes. Blood Sun sect, when Master comes out, I will definitely make sure that the entire sect doesn't have any peace. The Green Emperor's long and narrow eyes were deep and boundless. He frowned and said softly, Master's demonic spirit contract with us is still there, which means that Master's life is not in danger. We can only blame ourselves for coming too late and almost allowing the Blood Sun sect to harm Master. After saying that, the Green Emperor clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. A trace of hatred for the Blood Sun sect grew in his heart. Then what do we do now? Yiming asked in a low voice. Her voice was charming and firm. The Green Emperor turned to look at Yiming and said softly, Master should have been in the secret realm for quite some time. He should be coming out soon. We will wait here. The 9 great forces are gathered here, and when the secret realm opens again, there may be a fierce battle. We must be prepared. After saying that, the Green Emperor looked nervously at the calm surface of the water. The oppressive aura caused the space to freeze. Bang! On the surface of the swamp, a strange wave appeared again and spread across the surface of the lake. A golden light suddenly shot up into the sky and filled the sky with a vast and ancient aura. Without the previous blood vortex, the calm swamp began to stir. The turbid mud sank together with the withered grass and beast bones, and soon turned into a big clear lake. Above the lake, a golden whirlpool was stirring up gusts of astral winds. Even the space around it was shaking, and strong winds were surging. The ground began to tremble again. The experts of the 9 forces protected their bodies with Yuan Qi and tried their best to stabilize themselves on the flat ground. The experts of the various forces turned into light swords and flew around the lake, waiting for the secret realm to open again. Let's go, the Green Emperor shouted and shot up into the sky. In the blink of an eye, 3 rays of light, green, black, and white, appeared around the lake. Everyone frowned. The scene before them was too strange. Be careful. There are too many Origin Ancestor Realm experts here. The 2 Origin Ancestor Realm experts over there are even more mysterious and strange. Be careful. The Green Emperor transmitted his voice to the Yin-Yang twins. The Green Emperor's cultivation was at the 8th level of the Demon Emperor realm. He was very powerful, and he was more sensitive to auras than the Yin-Yang Hellish Flood Dragon. Following the Green Emperor's gaze, the yin-yang twins realized that the lake was already filled with experts from the nine forces. There were also many experts gathered in the air. On the other side of the lake, two figures stood in the air. Judging from their auras, they should be above the origin ancestor realm. Both of them had pulled their hats down, and their faces could not be seen clearly. The three of them were slightly shocked. They immediately gathered their demon chi. There were too many experts here. The most important thing now was to escort their master out safely and make preparations in advance. Other things could be put aside for the time being. The secret realm has opened again, someone shouted loudly. Following the gaze, there were no more cries of ghosts or howls of living beings on the surface of the lake. Instead, there were roars of divine beasts. Roar! An azure dragon shot out, its gigantic body submerged above the void. Its aura was violent, domineering in the void. Dragon roars were heard, shaking the heaven and earth. The group of cultivators were all shocked to the extreme. Hiss! The green dragon turned into a divine beast and soared into the sky. Its divine might was awe-inspiring, and the cries of phoenixes could be heard everywhere. It was dazzling with golden light and carried an incomparably vigorous aura. It was as if it was suppressing billions of lives. Its roars reverberated throughout the universe. It was as if it was going to tear the sky apart. It was extremely shocking. Roar! A huge, illusory white tiger appeared in the void. Its roars were sonorous like thunder. It took a step forward, and the sound waves were monstrous. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws. It was as if an ancient mountain was pressing down on everyone's hearts. The huge, illusory figures of the divine beasts became denser. Their eyes were as bright as the sun, and some were as bright as the moon. Their roars shook the heavens. Ah, what is that? My head hurts. Many people covered their faces and held their heads. In the face of such a heavenly phenomenon, those with lower cultivation couldn't resist at all. They stuck close to the ground and couldn't move. Blood was flowing out from the corners of their mouths. Obviously, they were under great pressure. Above the vast lake, the heavens and earth changed color. A vast aura swept towards everyone. It was imposing and tyrannical. The barbaric beasts near the swamp also began to crawl on the ground. The huge, illusory figures of the demonic beasts were overbearing and majestic. The barbaric beasts' souls were directly pressed to the ground, causing them to tremble and submit. The fluctuations shook the heavens and earth. The space started to distort under the surging energy. Some of the younger disciples with lower cultivation fainted immediately. The phenomenon is too terrifying. Everyone be careful. An origin ancestor stood up when he saw the phenomenon. He circulated his cultivation technique to prevent his mind from being damaged. After hearing the origin ancestors' words, the origin emperors and origin ancestors retreated rapidly. They were afraid of getting too close to the lake. They closed their eyes and formed hand seals. Rays of light shot out from their bodies and formed an absolute domain to resist the illusory figure's terrifying aura. Save me! Save me! Countless screams sounded again. At this moment, everyone couldn't even protect themselves. Endless panic spread across the lake. Not good. The phenomenon is too terrifying. Should we leave temporarily? An old man covered by a hood shouted. No, the saint has yet to appear. Wait for the saint to appear and bring him back immediately. Another old voice sounded from the hood. The illusory figures whistled and fluctuated, gathering together with monstrous energy. Above the lake, an incomparably huge golden sun appeared in front of him, emitting a loud, buzzing sound. This was the second time they were facing the immeasurable sun. Their bodies and souls felt as if they were pierced by the light and locked on the spot. The immeasurable sun continued to emit dazzling rays of light. The rays weaved like lightning and shot towards the land beside the lake, forming a light pillar. Chapter 13:10. Following the light pillar that connected the immeasurable sun to the lake, countless figures were transported out of the light pillar. A group of Origin Emperors and Origin Void Realm experts were expelled by the immeasurable sun and slowly landed on the lakeshore. Each of them was battered and exhausted. Their bodies were drenched in blood. Those who were transported to the lakeshore were all exhausted. Among them were Green Cloud Hall's Shi Susu, Qin Yusheng, Nine Star Valley's Chao Yunfei, and the others. These were the people who had been swallowed into the space and did not pass the first test. Shi Susu's hair was messy, and there were many wounds on her body. Her face was pale, and she staggered. She was about to fall on the lakeshore. Obviously, she had experienced a fierce battle. Qin Yusheng was also in a trance. His eyes were dull, and his yuan qi was chaotic. His footsteps were weak. Seeing the disciples of various sects being transported out one by one, the Origin Ancestor Realm experts of the major forces felt relieved. If any of these disciples had met with any mishap, even the smallest mishap, it would bring immeasurable losses to the entire sect. As the people were transported out, the crowd realized that most of the disciples of the major forces had been transported out. As for the small forces and rogue cultivators, they had all disappeared in the secret realm due to their lack of strength and foundation. Susu, Hukuin's face darkened. He channeled Yuan Qi into his feet, and his body moved like lightning. He quickly came to Shi Susu and helped her up. Shi Susu's delicate face was deathly pale. Her originally translucent snow-white skin was now covered in wounds, and blood was slowly flowing out from them. Seeing the people from the Green Cloud Hall, Shi Susu's mind relaxed, and her vision blurred. Before Elder Hu and the other two could say anything, their vision blurred and they fainted. Hukuin turned pale with fright and hurriedly channeled his yuan qi into Shi Susu's body. He then took out a bottle of elixir and fed it into Shi Susu's mouth. As soon as the elixir was opened, an extremely rich medicinal smell filled the air. At a glance, one could tell that it was the Blue Cloud Hall's healing panacea. Everyone from Green Cloud Hall retreat. Hukuin quickly handed Shi Susu over to the experts from Green Cloud Hall and continued to wait by the lakeshore. He was terrified. Shi Susu, a peerless genius of the younger generation of Green Cloud Hall, was in such a state in the secret realm. There was no need to mention the others. Hukuin immediately frowned, and a bad feeling arose in his heart. It's the Holy Sun. Under the hood, an old voice sounded slightly agitated. A young man with long hair, like a waterfall, flew out from the light pillar. He had a handsome face and a jade-like face. His temperament was different from the other disciples of the sect. This man had sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. His entire person contained a unique temperament that was ethereal. When he came out from the speed of light, a vast and mighty aura filled the air. His hair was a little messy. With a light tap of his feet, he slowly landed on the shore of the lake. Hukuin's eyes were as sharp as lightning. Looking at the surging energy around the man and the sacred aura that came from the depths of his soul, Hukuin was slightly surprised. That person is someone from the Holy Mountain? Hukuin kept his composure and observed quietly. The man seemed to have sensed something. He stepped out and arrived beside the two old men in a flash. Let's go. This place is dangerous. Yes, Holy Sun, the two elders replied in a low voice. The two old men immediately activated their absolute domains. While everyone was in a state of chaos, no one noticed the situation here. A strange vortex appeared in the void in front of the two old men, and layers of spatial ripples surged. Holy light rolled, and the golden light wrapped around the Holy Sun like a flood. In the next moment, he disappeared from where he stood. Hukuin saw this, and his heart skipped a beat. This secret realm had actually attracted the attention of people from the Holy Mountain. What exactly happened in the secret realm? Hukuin felt more and more that this secret realm was unusual. The sky lit up slightly. An array of light shot into the dense forest in the distance. 3 people flew rapidly above the dense forest. They were the 3 people from the Holy Mountain who had just escaped. Holy Sun, what happened? The man in the robe asked in a low voice. This place is very strange. We almost died in the secret realm. Among the 3 of them was the 5th Holy Son, Shui Honglu, who had come to the Chaos Realm to look for Su-yi. At that time, he was also sucked into the Secret Realm, but did not pass the first test. He had been fighting with dead beasts in front of the mountain and escaped several times. Holy Son, did you see Su-yi? He was also sucked into the Secret Realm. Oh, Shui Hongluo's Secret Realm had always been filled with danger, but he hadn't entered the mountain range or encountered Su-yi. He guessed that Su-yi had entered the depths of a secret realm and might have obtained a great opportunity. Thinking of this, Shui Hongluo was very displeased. Let's find a place first. We'll talk after I recover. The dense forest was filled with ancient trees. A youth was walking through the forest. He had an imposing appearance and a deep gaze. Suddenly, he felt an expert pass by above him. He quickly dodged into the forest and concealed his aura. In this lawless chaos realm, it was best to be cautious. Is this the Chaos Realm? Those three people's cultivation bases are so strong. Huge waves surged in the youth's heart. Not long after he had arrived in the Chaos Realm, he had fought a bitter battle with the nearby demonic beasts. The three people he had encountered now had stable auras. He couldn't sense their cultivation bases with his spiritual chi, but in terms of density, they weren't inferior to those old monsters in the sect. Is this where little Marshall Granduncle is training? The youth walking through the forest was Situ Muyang, who had come to the Chaos Realm to search for Su-yi. After the three of them passed by, Situ Muyang concealed his aura and continued forward. In the distance, a group of 5 people walked through the forest. They were all wearing the same robes, and it was obvious they were disciples of a large sect. A blood-colored sun was tattooed on their chests. Senior apprentice brother Liu Yang, elder by Zun, told us to search for Su-yi in the secret realm. Have we gone too far? Asked one of the disciples timidly. The disciple called Liu Yang glanced sideways at the disciple who spoke, and the corners of his mouth curled up. He lifted his foot heavily and kicked the disciple who spoke far away, and he happened to roll at Situ Muyang's feet. Liu Yang teased, "How could you be so careless? Junior apprentice brother, did you get injured by Su-yi?" He pointed at the disciple who was screaming miserably on the ground. The Blood Sun sect disciple grimaced in pain as he clutched his abdomen and said fiercely, "You." Liu Yang looked at his junior apprentice brother who was screaming on the ground. That secret realm was so terrifying. Everyone was sucked in. You might want to die, but I don't. Today, your senior apprentice brother will teach you that there are some things you shouldn't be too serious about. Even if we go back, no one will know whether or not we're seriously searching for that bastard Su-yi. Chapter 13:11. You know Su-yi? Situ Muyang immediately focused his mind. According to the conversation just now, the other party must be looking for Junior Marshall Uncle. He looked at the other party coldly and said sternly, "I don't know, Su-yi. Kid, do you know who we are?" The group of people from the Blood Sun sect said sternly, "Another reckless kid. He even dares to lie to our Blood Sun sect." The disciples of the Blood Sun sect at the side jeered. Liu Yang squinted his eyes and rubbed his hands together. He cracked his neck and said fiercely, "Kiki, I'll give you one more chance. Do you know Su-yi?" After saying that, he shook his head and walked slowly towards Situ Muyang. Situ Muyang's yuan qi surged. His eyes focused slightly, and he quietly prepared. The immeasurable sun was overflowing with golden light. The light pillar connected to the lakeshore was full of charm. It kept sucking people out. The people from a mysterious frost sect, including Gao Tsong, had already come out from the first group that entered the secret realm. Gao Tsong and the people from the mysterious frost sect had lost half of their original number. Gao Tsong's arms were drooping and his robe was covered in blood. As soon as he landed, he staggered to the shore and gasped for breath like a broken bellow. Compared to the annihilation of the other small forces, such a loss could not be more fortunate. Gao Tsong looked at the crowd of people who were meditating by the lakeside, and his heart shook slightly. He had never dreamed that he would suffer such heavy losses in this secret territory. He immediately took out a pill from his bosom and swallowed it. Then, he began to meditate on the spot. Hu Kuan's gaze was fixed on the immeasurable sun. He was waiting for Elder Wei Hong, Deacon Wu, Ling Feng, Hao Dao and the others from the Green Cloud Hall. Their cultivation was above the Origin Emperor realm, and they were the true pillars of the Green Cloud Hall. Nothing could happen to them. Hukuan was puzzled. His brows had already formed a Shan character. Hukuan really wanted to grab someone and ask them what happened in the secret realm. They're out. The disciples of the Blue Cloud Hall behind him pointed at the immeasurable sun and shouted, "Elder Wei!" Suddenly, Wei Hong and the others from the Blue Cloud Hall fell unconscious. They were slowly sent out by the Pillar of Light. Supported by the golden light, they were gently placed on the shore. Hukuan's primal chi surged under his feet, and he floated to Elder Wei and the other side. Wei Hong and the people of Blue Cloud Hall were already in a state of unconsciousness. Hukuan sent a palm strike at Wei Hong. The Yuan Qi in his palm slowly entered Wei Hong's body. Hukuan's heart was filled with shock. He used his soul to investigate and found that Elder Wei and the others had suffered a serious soul attack. Wei Hong was at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm. Normal soul spirit attacks wouldn't be able to hurt him at all. Now, Wei Hong actually suffered a serious soul spirit attack. What kind of terrifying existence was inside the mystic realm? Hukuan's expression froze for a moment. Then, he was interrupted by the exclamations behind him. Qi Ran, Tang Wang, and Elder Tao Yuanda of the 9 Stars Valley felt their hearts skip a beat. Several figures streaked across the sky and rushed to Jing Qiran's side. At this moment, Jing Qiran no longer had the elegant demeanor he had before. His hair was disheveled and his eyes were lifeless. Seeing his venerable elders coming, Jing Qiran's eyes were unfocused and cold. He suddenly laughed wildly. "Ha ha ha, it's all your fault. I want to trample all of you under my feet." Jing Qiran's hands and feet moved crazily. "Qiran, I am Elder Tao. What is going on?" Tao Yuanda was shocked and asked in a trembling voice. He might be in an illusion. Elder Tang Wang's gaze tightened as he said in a deep voice. As soon as he finished speaking, a dazzling light rose from Tang Wang's palm. It was like the stars in the sky. It was extremely dazzling. Like a meteor, it shot into the space between Jing Qiran's eyebrows. After half a breath, Jing Qiran's eyes gradually became clear. Looking at the familiar faces in front of him, Jing Qiran had a splitting headache. It was as if the sky and earth were spinning. All kinds of terrifying scenes in the mystic realm flashed through his mind. My head hurts." Jing Qiran hugged his head and rolled on the ground. He was sweating profusely and looked very miserable. Elder Tang, I will bring Qiran back to the sect first. If this continues, Qiran's life will be in danger." Tao Yuanda and Elder Dong Changqing stood on each side. They quickly put Jing Qiran on their shoulders and signaled to Elder Nye and Tang Wang. Elder Nye's brows were also tightly knitted together. His heart was filled with secrets as he looked at the crazy Jing Qiran without saying a word. Previously, Tao Yuanda and Dong Changqing did not bring Su Yi back to the sect. Valley Master Chun Yao punished them severely by making them guard the Thunder Sealing Valley. Now that Jing Qiran was seriously injured, he could not bring Jing Qiran back to the 9 Stars Valley. Otherwise, if Chun Yao blamed him, he would not be able to escape the blame. Then he said with a pained expression, "Thank you, Elder Tao and Elder Dong. The mystery of this mystic realm is not clear yet. Elder Tang Wang and I will continue to explore here. Please take Qiran back to the sect and keep an eye on his movements on the way." After hearing Elder Nye's words, Tao Yuanda and Dong Changqing looked at each other and nodded. Then, they turned into 2 streams of light and disappeared into the void. Tang Wang's heart was in awe. Watching the 2 leave, he locked his eyes on other places on the lake shore. Miao Chan, Wang Chen, the elders of the various sects all screamed. Seeing their beloved disciples in such a situation, they felt as if their hearts were being cut by a knife. Most of the other forces who had already come out quickly picked up their disciples and left. They did not stay any longer. Tang Wang frowned and said softly to Elder Nye, "Elder Nye, most of the people who were sucked in this time have come out. Those who did not come out have probably lost their lives in the mystic realm." Elder Nya paused for a moment. Looking at the immeasurable light pillar that was gradually dimming, he said faintly, "What about the other person? Why didn't he come out? Could he have died?" Tang Wang guessed that Elder Nya was thinking of Su Yi. Looking carefully, he did not see Su Yi anywhere. A stone slowly rose in his heart. His brows furrowed tighter and tighter. A shocking roar sounded. In the distant Blood Sun sect, a human head shook. Baizun's blood was boiling. His face was cold, and two scarlet eyes were under his mouth. His expression was twisted, and his body was trembling. Chapter 13:12. Blood Sun Whip. Blood Moon Curse. Baizun looked at the injuries on their bodies and could tell that this was a technique of the Blood Sun sect. Killing each other. Baizun gasped. This secret realm was so terrifying that it could make two origin emperors kill each other. Elder Bai, it seems like Su Yi hasn't come out yet. A disciple of the Blood Sun sect whispered in Baizun's ear. Huh? Baizun's angry eyes were filled with doubt. The light pillar was getting dimmer and dimmer. It should be closing soon, but there was still no sign of Su Yi. Could he have died in there? Baizun was relieved. If Su Yi had died in the secret realm, it would be a good thing for the Blood Sun sect. Su Yi had killed several elders of the Blood Sun sect. If Baizun couldn't kill Su Yi with his own hands, he wouldn't be able to get rid of the hatred in his heart. Su Yi has a lot of tricks up his sleeves. He can use the Emperor Sparrow's divine ability. He also has the mysterious wooden box and the small beast from Yuzhou. If he is really buried in the secret realm, I have to go in and find Su Yi no matter what. The only thing left in the outside world is that little phoenix. Baizun's heart sank. He ordered the disciples of the Blood Sun sect to search for the phoenix bloodline quickly. Whoever finds the phoenix bloodline will be rewarded with 1,000,000 3-star vitality stones. Su Yi was dead. If the Blood Sun sect could bring back the phoenix bloodline, it would be worth the loss of this secret realm exploration. Seeing that the light pillar was about to disappear, Baizun's blood-red energy shot out. He turned into a blood-red storm and flew towards the light pillar. He had to enter the secret realm before anyone else and find Su Yi. If he was alive, he had to see him. If he was dead, he had to see his corpse. Elder Nya, that bastard Baizun is about to enter the secret realm. Tang Wang shouted. Don't worry. Just watch. Elder Nya squinted his eyes. He seemed to be fearless about Baizun entering the secret realm. Baizun flashed and arrived in front of the light pillar. He turned into a shadow and flashed into the light pillar. Suddenly, the thunder roared endlessly, emitting an extremely terrifying rumbling sound. The light beam that was about to disappear and the immeasurable great sun suddenly burst with dazzling light. The immeasurable great sun suddenly exploded like a gigantic eye. A strong hurricane of energy swept across the space, and waves of space rippled in the space. The light was as heavy as a mountain. The energy kept spreading and sweeping towards Baizun. Baizun looked shocked. A giant blood moon rose up before him, suppressing the light sun's energy. The fierce blood moon struck the light sun like a blood-red thunderbolt. The light sun exploded with beams of light, shaking and vibrating nonstop. Boom! A deafening sound reverberated through the air like the sound of the heavens. Boundless sound waves surged toward the shore of the lake. A destructive aura spread through the air. Crushed rocks were sent flying everywhere. The soil and grass by the lake were instantly reduced to dust, disappearing without a trace. Elder Bai is amazing. All hail Elder Bai. As expected of an origin ancestor from my Blood Sun sect. The Blood Sun sect's disciples clapped and cheered as they watched Baizun's display of invincible might. Clap, clap. Above the blood moon, Baizun carried an overwhelming blood evil chi. He kept shooting out blood-red vital chi to resist the light sun suppression. It was as if he wanted to devour the light sun. Buzz, buzz. The blood moon filled the sky. The light sun carried an aura that could destroy and suppress everything. The two of them faced each other, neither giving way to the other. Baizun's eyes were filled with fear. The blood moon shook, and an unparalleled energy storm spread out in the sky with an overbearing aura. Baizu's blood, red energy billowed in the wind, fluttering his robe. Rip! The sound of cloth being torn apart suddenly rang out. The blood moon before Baizu began to crack. The blood-red radiance immediately surged. The blood moon was like a sea of blood in the air. A terrifying aura shot up into the sky. It looked as if it wanted to devour all vitality. As a crack appeared, countless cracks spread out like a spider web on the blood moon. "Oh no!" Baizu shouted in his heart. Rip, rip, bang! The blood moon turned into a blood mist and spread out in the air. The last bit of light from the light sun was like a heavy mountain that had passed through from ancient times. It carried an overbearing and imposing aura, and it finally destroyed the blood moon. The huge blood moon was crushed into nothingness by the cold light sun, until it turned into countless fragments and dissipated. As the blood moon collapsed, Baizu retreated rapidly in the air. The vital chi in his palms surged. He shook his arms, and in the process of retreating, his hands quickly formed seals. 3 huge blood shields appeared in the air, blocking the boundless suppression of the light sun. Blood evil shield. Tang Wang was shocked. Baizu's strength was revealed at this moment. When he fought with Xie Wuxiu, it was obvious that he still had some strength. Speaking of Xie Wuxiu, Tang Wang was surprised. He didn't see Xie Wuxiu on this trip to the secret territory. Logically speaking, Xie Wuxiu should be around. Bang, bang, bang. At the same time, the 3 blood shields shattered. Light burst out, and blood light filled the sky. At the moment when the blood shield shattered, Baizu roared furiously. His robe fluttered, and Baizu shot out another blood-colored waterfall. It was like a huge blood-colored dragon that charged towards the light sun. In a split second, the blood dragon swallowed the sun. The two collided in the air. Boom! The light sun gradually dissipated under the attack of the blood dragon. At the same time, the thunderous blood dragon also gradually disappeared from the blood sun. The sun and the pillar of light shattered inch by inch at the same time. Golden fragments flew everywhere, and an incomparably huge phantom of a divine bird appeared in the sky. It was covered in golden light and carried an extremely terrifying aura. It formed an incomparably huge phantom of a golden-winged rock in the sky. Whoosh, whoosh. The golden-winged rock's entire body was pure gold. Its eyes were like gold, and it had a domineering and destructive aura. It was like a king that looked down on the world as it flapped its wings and flew. The shadow of the beast was huge and lifelike. Its golden eyes were like golden suns. Its powerful aura seemed to have transcended the ancient times and could connect heaven and earth. Everything was extremely terrifying. Everyone at the lakeside kept quiet out of fear. They were all shocked by the strange scene in front of them. Their eyes were dull. Golden-winged rock. Elder Nya was shocked. Seems like this secret territory is related to the golden-winged rock. I didn't expect the Chaos region to have a god rock. Inheritance. Tang Wang was enlightened. If this was the secret territory of the golden-winged rock, then the inheritance of the divine bird was reasonable. Everyone was seriously injured and unconscious. There was a legend in ancient times. The dragon gave birth to 9 sons, and the phoenix gave birth to 9 chicks. It was said that the phoenix gave birth to 9 chicks. They were the Emperor Sparrow, Phoenix Emperor, Peacock, Great Rock, Crimson Phoenix, Blue Swan, Swan 9. Chapter 13:13. The Chaos region actually had the remains of the golden-winged rock. Whoever obtained the inheritance of the rock in this secret realm would definitely become a peerless expert who could look down on the world. A terrifying power burst out between heaven and earth. The entire lakeshore began to tremble. The boundless pressure brought by the rock shadow caused a violent force. Some of the weaker cultivators on the lakeshore were blown hundreds of feet away. Golden-winged rock, the supreme of the demon clan. The eyes of the Green Emperor and his 2 companions trembled as they stood on the shore not far away. The three of them, who were of the 8th tier of the Demon Emperor realm, saw the supreme martial artist of the Demon Clan flying up into the sky. The sky was filled with dazzling golden light. Boundless air waves surged and suppressed the Green Emperor and his two companions. The beasts roared like thunder. In the forest by the lakeshore, a brilliant golden sun shone down from the horizon. The sky gradually brightened. The morning mist was looming. Countless beasts were revealed. The beasts were still roaring and cutting. The beasts in the forest by the lakeshore all prostrated themselves on the ground and trembled when they sensed the supreme of the Demon Clan's supreme aura. Golden Winged Rock. Baizun, who was facing the shadow, also recognized that it was the Golden Winged Rock. His face twisted and he complained his heart. The experts below all opened their mouths wide and forgot to close them. They saw the divine bird flapping its wings with dazzling light. Under Baizun's shocked, eagle-like eyes, the divine bird arrived with a loud rumble. Its sharp claws swept across the sky, attacking Baizun. Screech! The divine bird's cry shook the heavens. The powerful pressure made Baizun's chest constrict. He began to have difficulty breathing. Here! At the same time, a blood-red chi filled the sky, and a blood-red ring took shape in front of Baizun. Baizun bellowed, ignoring the shock in his heart. He instantly gathered the power of his absolute field domain and built a strong defense around him. Boom! Elder Nye and Elder Tang Wang were deeply shocked. Their eyes were as cold as swords. Baizun, this old man, is strong enough to withstand the attack of the rock for such a long time. Tang Wang looked serious. He had a new understanding of the overall strength of the Blood Sun sect. Baizun's hair stood on end. Light shot out of his eyes. He roared furiously. The bird's cry shook the sky. The golden-winged rock's blade-like claws pounced on Baizun. The golden-winged rock's overflowing pressure was all-pervasive. The golden light surged and surged, as if it was an illustrious god that had come from the ancient times. The primordial might crushed Baizun's blood ring, and the absolute domain space was torn to shreds. Baizun's space was torn apart immediately. An earth-shaking, tearing noise resounded through the world, lingering for a long time. Only Baizun, who was facing the golden-winged rock, knew how powerful the ancient powers were. Baizun's body was suffering a pain that went deep into his bones. Every bone, every inch of his flesh was glowing with a bloody light. Bang! Fresh blood dyed the sky red. A solid, muffled sound shocked the hearts of the onlookers below. Boo! Baizun. Baizun's blood chi stopped condensing. He had withstood the golden-winged rock's final attack. With the sound, Baizun's figure drew an arc in the air. Like a kite with a broken string, he was sent flying and crushed. Elder Bai, the Blood Sun sect disciples looked at the strange scene in the sky. Baizun had lost his strength after withstanding the final attack. The Blood Sun sect's origin emperors were shocked. They turned into rays of light and flew into the sky to catch Baizun. Baizun's chest and abdomen were covered in wounds. His bones were exposed. If not for the protection of the absolute territory, Baizun would have been a corpse. Baizun's body was charred. His flesh was emitting white steam under the high temperature. The blood on his body was char-black. His body went limp. After being caught by the experts, he fell into the crowd. Baizun's face was pale. Blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. His chi stopped. His lips moved, and blood spurted out. Baizun was seriously injured. The experts of the Blood Sun sect quickly formed a seal. Rays of vital chi flowed into Baizun's body. After a while, Baizun's blood color started to improve. The golden light dissipated. The golden-winged rock's shadow slowly dissipated in the sky. At the same time, the sun and the light pillar disappeared in the sky. Only the air above the clear lake was left. It was as if nothing had happened. It was just a broken dream. So powerful. Elder Bai's strength is so terrifying. In an instant, the crowd on the lake was dead silent. The chirping of birds echoed in the forest. Everyone felt as if their throats were choked. They didn't dare to make a sound. Elder Nye, Elder Tang, Hu Kun, and the experts of the second-rate forces who were meditating and treating the disciples of the main sect looked at the scene with burning eyes. It was the first time the faint light of the golden-winged rock was so powerful that it could injure an expert like Baizun. This is the consequence of being greedy. When Elder Nye saw this, a cold smile appeared on his face. He felt a lingering fear in his heart. Fortunately, he was cautious. He didn't enter the secret realm rashly. Otherwise, he would be the one lying there now. The golden-winged rock's shadow dissipated. The pressure in the sky disappeared. The yin and yang underworld chi were suddenly free. They said to the Green Emperor anxiously, "Why hasn't Master come out yet? The entrance to the secret realm has disappeared. Is Master still inside?" The Green Emperor's face was solemn. Vital chi flowed out of his body. A cold light flashed in his eyes and the corner of his mouth raised. The demon spirit contract is still here. Master should still be nearby. I can sense Master's vital chi. In the sea cliff of the secret realm, Su-Yi was surrounded by the golden light. Waves of warmth flowed through his body, making him feel very comfortable. Surrounded by the golden light, Su-Yi was like a cocoon of light. His eyes gradually closed in the golden light. A deep sigh was transmitted into Su-Yi's ears amidst the overflowing golden radiance. "Human, I'll help you one last time. This is our chance." The voice of the golden-winged rock gradually dissipated. The sea cliff collapsed. Heaven and earth shook. In the roar of the void, the wind whistled. Boundless huge waves were set off by the sea and directly pressed against the golden light shield. Layer after layer of huge waves hit the golden light shield continuously like a blanket. Bang! The setting sun was still red like blood. The sky was filled with red clouds, dyeing the entire sky with a scarlet chi of blood. The sea cliff was hit by the huge waves. Gullies appeared everywhere. Strong winds blew everywhere. The pebbles were stirred up. The unparalleled strong wind set off a huge tornado-like storm. Soon, the sea cliff was crushed into powder. Chapter 13-14. Under the nourishment of the golden light and warm current, Su-Yi's great void divine sea was filled with yuan qi. His skin faintly glowed, and his muscles were filled with great strength. He knew that this was the last gift from the golden-winged rock. He would leave the secret realm under the protection of the light shield. Su-Yi slowly closed his eyes. When Su-Yi opened his eyes again, the space rippled. When Su-Yi walked out of the space ripple, he realized that he had returned to the lake. However, it was not the lake where he entered the secret realm, but the other side of the lake. Su-Yi was touched. It turned out that the last opportunity mentioned by the golden-winged rock was to send him away from the place where he entered. There was a commotion in the distance. It must be because the secret realm's entrance had closed, and the various sects had started a dispute at the lake. I wonder if Elder Wei Hong and the others have left the secret realm. Su-Yi thought of the ash cloud palaces, people who had fallen in the secret realm's jungle. Looking at the lake in the distance, Su-Yi's gaze trembled. He decided to leave this place first before making any plans. He and Little Shuai had obtained the biggest opportunity this time, and their strength had increased greatly. Now that Su-Yi had cultivated the primal yang heavenly dragon bone, his physical strength had increased greatly. His strength at the 9th level of the Origin Void stage was invincible among those under the age of 30. However, he had also formed a deep enmity with the Blood Sun sect. St. Mountain, Blood Sun sect, 9 Stars Valley. Every one of them was an insurmountable mountain for him. Only by continuously increasing his strength could he trample on these targets. We can't stay here for long. To avoid conflict, let's return to the sect first. After saying that, Su-Yi found a secluded place, opened the mysterious space, and went in to check on Little Shuai's recovery. He saw that Little Shuai was still unconscious, and his aura was very weak. He took a deep look at Little Shuai. Su-Yi was worried that the Blood Sun sect would still search for him. For the sake of convenience, he could only let Feng Qi stay in the mysterious space. A moment later, Su Yi changed into clean clothes and disguised himself as a young man in his 30s. He walked out of the mysterious space alone. At the edge of the lake, the Yuan Qi light shield passed through the lush lake surface and landed on the nearby land. This was originally a huge jungle swamp. After passing through the swamp, it was a jungle. Around the swamp was a dense patch of reeds. So this swamp is so huge, and there's such a dense forest. No wonder it's so hard to find traces of a secret realm. Su Yi pondered as he walked. He took a detour through the swamp and arrived at a mountain ridge. Looking into the distance, Su Yi could hear a group of people fighting in the nearby forest. Su Yi pondered for a moment and decided to go take a look. This was the place where the secret realm had appeared. The fight ahead might be related to the Ash Cloud Palace and other acquaintances. If it was a private fight, then he would just walk away. Su Yi withdrew his Yuan Qi and quietly jumped onto a huge tree branch, quietly observing the situation of the people below. Among the crowd, there were 4 or 5 people confronting a young man. All of them were at the high level of the Origin Void stage. The person in the lead was over 20 years old and was at the 5th level of the Origin Void stage. He was very extraordinary. The young man's Yuan Qi aura was at the early stage of the Origin Void stage. He wore a white battle armor, and the Yuan Qi beneath his feet took form. Wind attribute Yuan Qi erupted from his body. He had just entered the Origin Void stage and was already able to use Yuan Qi. The young man's body was surrounded by fierce winds and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Obviously, he had suffered a serious injury, but it couldn't conceal the heroic spirit on his face. Su Yi looked down at the scene below. Through their clothes, he could clearly distinguish that those people were the Blood Sun sect disciples from before. Baizun must have been furious that he escaped and ordered search for him. The young man in front of him had a familiar aura and the pure White Wind Rider battle armor. Who else could it be but Situ Muyang? Su Yi's eyes flickered. Why is he here? Could it be that something happened at the Xinjiang Gate? Su Yi's mind was in turmoil as he held his breath and watched the changes below. The leader of the group laughed sinisterly. His mouth was pointed and his cheeks were like that of a monkey. His eyes were full of mockery. Not bad. A 15-year-old Origin Void stage martial artist. You would be a monster in any sect. Unfortunately, you met Liu Yang of the Blood Sun sect today. Situ Muyang's face was pale, but his eyes were full of fighting spirit. Yuan Qi surged in his hand. Under Situ Muyang's feet, the shadow of a black rock spread its wings in the void. He glared at Fu Dongxian and said, I told you I don't know any Su Yi. Hee. If you don't know Su Yi, why do you have such a big reaction? It must be related if you don't know him. Situ Muyang's expression was calm. He took a deep breath and his fighting spirit surged. The shadow of the nether void rock behind him soared into the sky. It was many times more ferocious than it was during the Myriad Sword Conference. The surging black rock swooped down towards Fu Dongxian like a black cloud. Liu Yang's eyes were sharp. Looking at the shadow swooping down, he was not in a hurry. The Yuan Qi around him was scarlet. He shook his arm, and a blood-red giant palm print gathered in front of him and pressed against the shadow of the rock. For a moment, a strong wind billowed. The huge Yuan Qi fluctuations stirred up the surrounding stones. The dense forest was instantly turned into dust by the destructive impact. A thin line of blood streaked across the sky. Situ Muyang was sent flying backward like an impact cannon. He slammed into the giant rock behind him, creating a huge pit that was dozens of feet long. It was a shocking sight. On the other side, Liu Yang also retreated a dozen or so steps before he managed to stop himself. He was indescribably shocked. A 15 or 16-year-old Origin Void stage martial artist was already so impressive. In another 2 years, there might be a second Su Yi. Senior brother Liu Yang. How should we deal with this person? The Blood Sun sect disciple behind him asked in a cold voice. Liu Yang looked at the fallen figure in the distance and said fiercely, This kid is extremely talented. Even if he's not Su Yi's man, we can't let him live. Kill him. After saying that, he waved his hand and signaled the people below to attack. just as the people of the Blood Sun sect were about to attack. He hid his aura and jumped down from the tree. He brushed the dust off his body and looked at the people of the Blood Sun sect with a serious expression. He hid his aura to the middle level of the Origin Void stage and pretended to be covered in dust. I'm sorry. I accidentally saw it. I'll leave now. Wait. Chapter 13:16. The Imperial Wind battle armor in front of him fluttered in the wind, emitting an ancient divine splendor. It was as if a divine halo had been added to his body, making him look extraordinarily majestic. The armor was dazzling, and its aura was incomparably ancient. However, the armor was like a lifelike white feather that completely covered Situ Muyang's entire body. Compared to when he clashed with Liu Yang just now, the armor covered an even larger area, leaving only a small part of Situ Muyang's face exposed. The armor shone with a pure white light, as if it was overflowing with a divine and pure radiance. The wings on the back of the armor fluttered, small and nimble. The wings shone with a cold light, and as the wings fluttered, ripples appeared in the surrounding space. It was extremely sharp, earth element and wind element. The Blood Sun sect's disciple was shocked. It was obvious that this youth's wind element was his main element, and it was extremely powerful. Ants, you should feel lucky that you injured me just now. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to see my full strength. Chaos region, Blood Sun sect, very good. Situ Muyang's wings fluttered slightly, and a monstrous astral wind howled, enveloping the mountain forest. Some of the surrounding trees were directly bent by the wind. Great treasure! Liu Yang's eyes flashed with excitement. Catch him for me. Take off his armor. Liu Yang shouted loudly from behind. This armor had not even shown its effect just now, but suddenly an ancient pressure had shocked everyone. Liu Yang knew that this armor was definitely a great treasure. At this moment, the Blood Sun sect's disciple was also flying at a low altitude. He did not have the Imperial Wind battle armor, but after reaching the Origin Void realm, he could already step on the void and communicate with the power of heaven and earth. Seeing Situ Muyang flying down from above, the Blood Sun sect's disciple also gradually flew higher. Situ Muyang's heart was burning with the desire to fight. His purpose here was to test his strength and fight side by side with Su Yi. If he couldn't even defeat these ants from the Blood Sun sect, so what if his talent was abnormal? Thinking of the man in his heart, Situ Muyang smiled bitterly. That was a monster that was hard to come by even in the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 ocean. Little did he know that the man whom Situ Muyang called a monster was secretly watching him from afar. With a cultivation at the first level of the Origin Void stage, he was actually not at a disadvantage in terms of aura when going up against a 2nd level or even 3rd level Origin Void stage martial artist from the Blood Sun sect. It was truly terrifying. Blood Wall. The Blood Sun sect's disciple looked up and saw that the earth elemental Yuan Qi on his body had already transformed into a wind elemental skill. Compared to the earth elemental skill he had just used, it was even more vigorous. Without wasting any more time, every Blood Sun sect disciple pushed their palms forward. Along with an enormous amount of scarlet blood energy that filled the sky, an enormous blood wall that was so thick that it was greasy, like a rolling sea of blood, swept towards Situ Muyang with an unstoppable energy hurricane. The sky was filled with a rain of blood, and the scarlet fiendish aura seemed to want to devour all life in the world. Situ Muyang snorted coldly, and the corners of his mouth curved into an imperceptible arc, revealing his ghastly white teeth. His figure flashed rapidly, and under the drive of the Wind Rider battlesuit, he wasn't locked onto by the boundless sea of blood's aura. Instead, he soared up with an unbelievable speed, and his speed was many times faster than before. Situ Muyang, who was high up, dove down like a ferocious bird hunting for its prey. Whoosh! At this time, Situ Muyang's body was like lightning as he continuously twisted and turned in the air, leaving behind several afterimages as he swooped down in midair. His figure was like a thunderbolt from the ninth heaven as he crashed down with an unparalleled force into the sea of blood that filled the sky. So fast, the nearby Lu Yong couldn't help but raise his eyebrows, whereas the disguised Su lightly nodded his head. In a year and a half, Situ Muyang's movement technique and speed had improved greatly compared to before, and the Wind Rider battlesuit on him had an even more peculiar and extraordinary effect. Xinjian Gate, Sita Luyan, had a good son. Xinjian Gate's fortune. At this moment, in the courtyard and pavilion of Xinjian Gate, smoke curled up in spirals. In the main hall, the stone pillars were carved with sword-shaped patterns, and bestial characters were engraved in them. The reliefs were vivid. Green jade paved the ground, and pearls glowed. Between the carved beams and painted rafters, a mottled and solemn aura filled the air. Sita Luyan sat on the chair and sneezed. Through the gap in the window lattice, she looked at the faint evening mist in the distance. Her eyes sparkled, and her gaze was sharp. In her calm and ancient aura, it seemed that there were too many things hidden. The Right Guardian stood respectfully on the side and said softly, "Young Master Mu Yang should have reached the Chaos region by now, right?" Sita Luyan looked at the horizon thoughtfully and said faintly, "Only Mu Yang can see him. Maybe he can bring him back." The Right Guardian asked doubtfully, "Will Sui really come back? He has now established his own sect." A pair of deep eyes flickered with a light and unconsciously revealed the domineering aura of a superior person who looked down on the world. After all, he is still Elder Su's disciple. At least in his heart, he believes that Xinjian Gate needs him. Hearing this, the Right Guardian's eyes flickered and said, "Yes, only he can bloom on that kind of stage. I'm looking forward to what kind of fierce battle he can have with those abnormal, peerless talents on that stage." Sita Muyang smiled and replied, "It's all up to Muyang." In the dense forest, the aura was turbulent, and the smell of blood was accompanied by the strong wind, spreading the evil aura far away. Sita Muyang was not afraid in the face of the Blood Sun sect's Blood Shadow sect. Under Situ Muyang's feet, Black Earth attribute Yuan Qi surged, and his aura suddenly rose. The Imperial Wind battle armor flashed, and the wind in front of him whistled, and a bright light rose like the sun. Situ Muyang directly stomped down on the disciples of the Blood Sun sect. He was peerlessly swift and fierce, looking down on the common people. Stormy Wave Kick. This was Situ Muyang's Stormy Wave Kick, and its momentum shook the sky. He had once fought with Ryugan River, and if they were to fight again, the Ryugan River back then would not be a match for the current Stormy Wave Kick. The void trembled, and several rays of light converged. The strong wind whistled, and the soles of the feet brought with them boundless waves. Each wave was higher than the previous one, and it shook the sky as if it was going to shatter the void. The hearts of the disciples of the Blood Sun sect trembled. Bang, bang, bang. Boom! The blood wall collided with the soles of the feet, and the roar shook the void. The Yuan Qi wind scattered in all directions and raged like a flood. The surrounding trees were all turned into powder under the monstrous energy fluctuations, and the gravel surged, and the flying ash shook the sky. Chi-la, dong dong. Chapter 13:17. Strike while he's down. Too strong. The gazes of the few Blood Sun sect disciples that were blasted flying were moved as they looked at Situ Muyang, who stood in the wind and stood in confrontation with the 2/3 level Origin Void Stage disciples. Situ Muyang was like a god with a piercingly cold gaze that judged the heavens and the earth. Where did this monstrous natural talent come from? The 2/3 level Origin Void Stage disciples were completely moved as their gazes went grim. The robes on their bodies fluttered as they condensed hand seals. One of them flew to the left while the other flew to the right to surround Sita Muyang. An enormous blood-red claw appeared on the body of the Blood Sun sect disciple on the left, and subsequently, an exceedingly scarlet blood-red moon slowly rose from behind the Blood Sun sect disciple on the right. TSK, you're very strong. Let me see how you resist my Bloodblaze Claw. Numerous ancient blood red markings condensed on the Blood Sun sect disciple's body. His scarlet-red eyes were like a mad devil. His claws were covered in blood, and his might tore through the sky as he tore Situ Muyang into pieces. At this instant, the distant mountain barbarians seemed to have sensed something was different, and they roared out in low voices as they trembled in secret. Blood Moon Curse. It was exactly the same as the ultimate skill Zhong Huai used in the Secret Realm. The blood-red moon rose as the scarlet-red aura of origin energy ceaselessly surged, and it gradually grew larger in the sky with a shocking might. Fight! Situ Muyang felt apprehensive in his heart as he shouted out loudly. Ancient bird cries resounded out around Situ Muyang's body and reverberated in the sky, as if they wanted to swallow everything in the surroundings. At this moment, Situ Muyang seemed to have transformed into a human-shaped fierce beast, and an energy storm swept out in the surroundings, causing the sky to tremble. Hiss! The Bloodblaze Claw tore through the sky as 5 vast blood-red marks tore through the sky, causing space to ripple as it directly greeted Situ Muyang. Whereas the enormous blood-red moon carried a ferocious and fierce aura, and it suddenly vanished when it spread out to its greatest extent. Swish! At the instant the blood-red moon vanished, the airwaves surged and flashed out explosively in all directions. When it appeared, it had abruptly arrived before Situ Muyang, and a terrifying strong wind flashed out, causing Situ Muyang's black clothes to flutter. Bang! Situ Muyang's figure was so fast that it was dazzling. Yuan Qi surged under his feet. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, just as it was about to hit Situ Muyang, a muffled sound and strong wind swept out from the center of the collision. The Blood Claw and the Blood Moon collided in the void. Golden spears roared and clanged continuously. Situ Muyang left an afterimage in the center of the storm. What? The disciples of the Blood Sun sect were shocked. Situ Muyang's speed was too fast. His afterimages overlapped and formed an arc in the air. The dark earth element Yuan Qi in Situ Muyang's hand suddenly grew stronger. Countless scales wrapped around and spread out. The dark and deep scales shone in the air, giving off a demonic yet not evil light. In the void, the roars of ferocious birds could be faintly heard, and the aura was terrifying. Swish! With Situ Muyang as the center, a vast and sharp aura swept out without holding back and filled the entire forest. Clang! 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 A wave of clear sounds of golden spears resounded out. Situ Muyang was like a human-shaped ferocious bird as he pounced in front of the Blood Sun sect disciples. There was a figure of Situ Muyang in front of each of the 2 Blood Sun sect disciples on his left and right. Soul Essence Clone. Liu Yang's gaze froze as the scene before his eyes was unbelievable. Only Su Yi, who'd reached the 9th level of the origin stage, was able to see it clearly. But Situ Muyang's speed was swift to an unbelievable extent, and only left behind 2 clear afterimages in the sky. A sharp and desolate aura surged in the sky. The 2 Blood Sun sect disciples transformed into a line of blood in the sky and heavily smashed onto the ground like heavy cannonballs. They directly smashed open enormous deep pits on the ground, and the 2 Blood Sun sect disciples were nowhere to be seen in the deep and dark pit. The corners of Liu Yang's mouth twitched. Situ Muyang's strength had actually reached such an extent. The other heavily injured Blood Sun sect disciples had shocked gazes as they looked at Situ Muyang, who was looking down from the sky. They were all flabbergasted and kept quiet out of fear. Liu Yang's gaze sank. At this moment, the origin energy on his body immediately transformed, and his aura immediately became fierce. A lustrous and translucent red treasured sword had unknowingly appeared in his hand. He stomped backwards and took a step forward to arrive at a low altitude as he looked at Situ Muyang. Lu Yang secretly gritted his teeth, as he was actually forced to such an extent by a strange youth at the first level of the origin stage who was at the 5th level of the origin stage. I was careless. You're very strong, but in the end, you're only a clown in front of me. A gloomy and ghastly voice sounded out from Lu Yang's mouth. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Yang's figure became illusory and blurry as the origin energy within his body roiled to the extreme. His strength at the 5th level of the origin stage was completely exposed. Lu Yang wanted to decide the outcome with a single move. Gulp! Illo! A shocking blood-colored aura swept out and covered the heavens and the earth. The tip of the sword flicked slightly, and a red dot of light appeared at the tip. The sound of blood surging faintly spread out as it was suffused with a blood-colored brilliance. A fierce aura was faintly discernible as it undulated out. Go! A blood-colored long dragon surged and surged like a scarlet red lightning with an imposing aura that carried unshakable potential as it flashed towards Situmuyang. The blood-colored long dragon that covered the heavens and the earth directly pressed down towards the sky. Even though it was far away, the Blood Sun sect disciples felt how terrifying it was. Bloody Sun Whip. Senior brother Lu Yang has actually successfully cultivated the Bloody Sun Whip. Kid die. Su Yi's spirit was piercingly cold. The Bloody Sun Whip was precisely Li Zhongqing's move in the secret realm, and the blood-colored long dragon that crushed towards Situmuyang caused Su Yi's heart to slightly tighten. Situmuyang's expression darkened as he knew that his opponent was going to make the final move. At the critical moment, he shouted out. Suddenly, the origin energy within his body gushed out as the enormous nether void rock's silhouette behind him gradually materialized. A terrifying wave of air swept out in all directions, and the black scale claws were like a deep bolt of lightning that shot towards the blood-colored long dragon. It swept across the sky and tore through the sky to kill. Bang, bang, bang. The black scale claws did not disperse in the air, as 3 consecutive claws smashed towards the blood-colored long dragon. Jijia! The two clashed, and the air was instantly torn apart. The sound pierced through the clouds and cracked the stones. The sound waves were like wind and thunder, exuding an incomparably domineering and destructive aura. The Blood Sun sect disciples who were lying on the ground trembled uneasily. Not good. Su Yi's heart surged with a trace of uneasiness. A heart-palpitating and terrifying aura floated in the air amidst the rumbling sound of the explosion. Chapter 13:18. As the air fluctuated, 2 figures slammed into the ground like sharp swords. Situmuyang was smashed into a deep pit. His face was pale, and blood was flowing out his chest. His breathing was weak, and the Imperial Wind battlesuit had shattered inch by inch under the bombardment. The light gradually dissipated. Su Yi's heart was cold to the extreme. Lu Yang's sudden killing move had caught Su Yi by surprise. If not for the Imperial Wind battlesuit on Situmuyang, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Su Yi removed his disguise and revealed his original appearance. His face was handsome, and the contours of his face were sharp. His eyes were mature and deep, and a cold light flashed between his eyebrows as he looked at Lu Yang coldly. Looking at Lu Yang again, his face was as pale as ash and his body was stained with blood. It was a tragic sight. The shock in his eyes had yet to fade, and he was still in shock. He staggered and fell to the ground, his mouth like a broken bellows as he gasped for breath. Su Yi looked at Situmuyang and anxiously checked Situmuyang's injuries. He took out a bottle of spirit liquid from his chest, which he had kept in case of an emergency. After drinking the spirit liquid, Su Yi slowly channeled Yuan Qi from the great void ocean into Situmuyang's body. Situmuyang's face gradually changed, and he exhaled a long breath. The blood in his body began to coagulate, and his tightly shut eyes opened a little. Young martial uncle. Situmuyang's face twitched, and his eyes that were originally filled with fighting spirit were now filled with the truth of the past. Su Yi put his hand on his lips indicating for Situ Muyang not to speak. He focused and continued channeling Yuan Qi into Situ Muyang's body, stabilizing his severe injuries. Su Yi was filled with regret. He should have taken action earlier, but Su Yi was gratified by Mu Yang's improvement. Kiki, Su Yi, it's really you. Lu Yang's eyes were bloodshot. The corners of his mouth curled up into a hideous grin. His expression was twisted, and his entire body was stained with blood. He looked like a mad demon. As he spoke, he tasted something sweet in his throat before he spat out a large mouthful of blood. Poopy you shouldn't talk anymore. You should shut up. Su Yi's gaze was grave as he looked at Lu Yang with disdain. He then turned around and continued to treat Situ Muyang. Go to hell. Su Yi. Ha ha. Lu Yang stared at Su Yi, no longer afraid. Instead, a vicious expression appeared on his face. Cough. Another large cloud of blood sprayed out. Swish. The moment Lu Yang fell, a blood-red light rose from his hand and soared into the sky like a bolt of lightning. It exploded high up in the sky, and blood splattered everywhere, not dissipating for a long time. This was the Blood Sun Sect's crying blood arrow. It was specially used for information transmission and gathering. Lu Yang, who came out to take a breather, never would have thought that he would encounter Su Yi and be beaten half to death by a monstrous youth at the first level of the Origin Void stage. Su Yi was calm at this moment. After treating Situ Muyang's injuries, he looked at Situ Muyang, who was in a deep sleep. Su Yi placed Situ Muyang on the ground and turned around to slowly walk to Lu Yang. Lu Yang spat out blood as he sneered and said weakly, Su Yi, wait for your death. Elder Baizun will be here soon. Bang, 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 bang. Su Yi's blood surged. When he heard the Blood Sun Sect and Baizun's name, his anger soared. The Origin energy under his feet surged as he shouted. Killing intent surged from his entire body as a surge of energy surged out from under Su Yi's feet. Su Yi stomped all four of Lu Yang's limbs into the ground, causing the earth to rapidly spread like a spider web. Su Yi's monstrous rage and killing intent caused the Blood Sun Sect's disciple, who had fallen to the side, to let out a blood-sobbing scream. Ah! Only Lu Yang's head was left on the ground after being stomped on. Su Yi's heart was filled with killing intent. As the Origin energy surged, Su Yi's mind was gradually drowned by the killing intent. The Blood Sun Sect had been scheming against him since the beginning of the Alliance Conference. Baizun had schemed against him many times. When the Secret Land opened, the Blood Sun Sect had placed a bounty on his head and sent many Origin ancestor powerhouses to hunt him down. The Blood Sun Sect, this name was deeply engraved in Su Yi's heart, schemed against me and sent people to hunt me down, try to steal my treasure, harm my brother, kill him, destroy him, kill him. Bang. Looking at Lu Yang, Su Yi was filled with anger. He soared into the sky, and another heavy sound was heard. The killing intent under his feet was biting cold. At this moment, he no longer had any scruples. A terrifying force was generated, and Lu Yang was directly stomped into the depths of the ground. The depths of the ground were deep and quiet. Lu Yang could not be more dead. Boom! With the spot where Lu Yang had sunk in as the center, a huge crater suddenly appeared. Rubble and dust flew everywhere. Su Yi's fire elemental Yuan Qi burst out from his body, causing the temperature to rise continuously. Rumble, under the terrifying power, the ground below trembled incessantly. The surrounding trees collapsed, and the earth shook. The scene was breathtaking. Amidst the flames, Su Yi's eyes surged with battle intent. It was as if a sun had risen. The killing intent around him was unparalleled. It was as if a young killing god had descended to the mortal world, looking down on the common people. Oh. Looking around, the remaining Blood Sun Sect disciples looked at the collapsing forest in front of them. Their eyes were filled with horror. Red and white objects came out from their crotches. Miserable cries and wails alerted the surrounding barbarian beasts. The barbarian beasts in the distant forest started to retreat. They prostrated themselves and ran far away from this place. Su Yi's blood and qi were surging. Golden light surged in his eyes, and a divine halo enveloped his body. At this moment, Su Yi's body was wrapped in a scarlet light. His skin was white and translucent. Violent winds whistled around him, and the faint roar of a divine dragon could be heard. He emitted a domineering and destructive aura that reached the heavens. Su Yi slowly floated above the heads of the Blood Sun sect disciples. His hair fluttered behind him, and he looked down at them as if he was looking at ants. "I beg you, don't kill us. Yeah, we didn't do it on purpose. It's all because of that bastard Liu Yang. We were wrong. Don't kill us, don't kill us." The few Blood Sun sect disciples prostrated themselves on the ground and kowtowed to Liu Yang like a god. They were dripping with blood, but they didn't dare stop. If you want to blame someone, blame yourselves for being the Blood Sun sect disciples. Choose a good sect in your next life. When they saw that Su Yi wouldn't let them go, the few Blood Sun sect disciples made up their minds. Bloody lights surged from their hands, and bloody lights soared into the sky. They wanted to kill Su Yi and be happy. "You can go die," the few Blood Sun sect disciples said in a stern voice. Su Yi took a step forward. The scarlet light in his eyes didn't reveal a trace, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a faint smile. Blazing fire Skynet palm. Su Yi's figure turned in the sky as he took a step forward and dodged a few blood-colored lights. Then he shook his arm and completely wiped out his 9th level origin void stage aura as crimson red fire attribute origin energy gushed out. As Su Yi withdrew his fist and pushed it out, a wave of flames that was like a mountain and an ocean rushed out from the center of his palm. This was the fire attribute palm technique that Su Yi comprehended from the demon spirit truth. Its attack range was extremely wide. Bang! Bang! The few Blood Sun sect disciples finally saw clearly what kind of terrifying enemy they were facing in the center of the flaming palm that covered the sky. The peerlessly overbearing aura of destruction carried the rain of flames that covered the sky and continuously corroded the bodies of the Blood Sun sect disciples. "I hate it! I hate it!" The few Blood Sun sect disciples cried out in pain within the rain of flames. The monstrous wave of flames sprinkled onto the bodies of the Blood Sun sect disciples. They didn't even have the time to circulate their blood-colored origin energy to resist before their bodies swiftly combusted and crashed onto the ground. The flames continued to burn fiercely. Su Yi gazed at the collapsed figures with a cold gaze as he gazed at the blood moon's afterimage in the distant sky. Chapter 13:20. In the distance, Elder Nye and Elder Tang Wang were stabilizing the situation of the sect's injured. When they looked up, they suddenly saw a giant blood moon cloud, and their brows furrowed. "Elder Nye, Elder Tang, the Blood Sun sect's crying blood arrow has been fired. Based on the Blood Sun sect's previous actions, this might have something to do with Su Yi. Let's go to the location where the crying blood arrow rose to take a look." Hu Kuan secretly transmitted his voice to Elder Nye and Elder Tang, his eyes deep and profound. When the few experts of the Blood Sun sect turned into streams of light and disappeared into the air, the 4 elders also looked at each other and nodded. Their yuan qi surged, and their figures stretched out in the air, leaving behind afterimages in the air, and disappeared into nothingness, leaving behind only a few injured sects and forces. The dense forest Su Yi was in had already turned into a sea of fire, and there was not a single piece of land under his feet that was intact. The ground had turned into deep pits, and the forest had turned into fine powder. The crackling sound of burning tree branches echoed throughout the forest. Su Yi carried Situ Muyang on his back, and Yuan Qi surged under his feet. He turned around in the air and found an open space where he put Situ Muyang down. Just as he was about to open the mysterious space, his Yuan Qi spread out from afar, and the sound of wind breaking could be heard from afar. Blood-red afterimages streaked across the sky. Seeing that Situ Muyang's brows were no longer furrowed, and his blood was beginning to coagulate, and his Yuan Qi was stabilizing, Su Yi's mind relaxed, and he turned his head to look at a blood cloud in the distance, and a resolute expression appeared on his face. The fire attribute Yuan Qi around Su Yi's body surged with divine radiance, and he looked like a god of war standing in the middle of the mountain. In a remote mountain forest, two short figures dressed in robes surrounded a handsome man. The man sat on the ground, wearing a pale yellow robe with golden embroidery. His black hair was like a waterfall, like a gurgling stream in the forest. His eyes were like stars, and his eyelashes were slightly long. His hair was like a knife, and his eyebrows were like an ink painting. He was the fifth holy son, Shui Honglu, who had escaped from the secret realm. Occasionally, she would raise her head in an arc that made people tense up. It was truly a face that was as graceful as flying in the sky. His slender and elegant fingers formed a handprint in front of him. From within Xiahong House's body, a holy and long radiance spread out. Accompanied by the Yuan Qi in his body, Xiahong's aura suddenly rose and swept out. The holy and vast Yuan Qi filled the lush green forest. After a short while, the aura within Xiahong House's body went from weak to strong, and then from strong to nothingness. A holy and clean aura enveloped her body, and it was as if her body was enveloped by a layer of hazy, illusory shadow that was several meters tall, making her seem like an ancient god. The spirit energy around Xiahong Pavilion was overbearing and fierce as it looked down upon the heavens and the earth, and its eyes were like two brilliant suns that carried bone-penetrating coldness of looking down upon the world of mortals and emotionlessness. Moreover, it was accompanied by a shocking ancient pressure. The aura of the gigantic illusory figure shot up into the sky. Then it condensed above the Xiahong house and shrunk continuously. Eventually, it condensed into a speck of light and dissipated. Whoosh! Xiahong Pavilion's handprint changed as she slowly stood up. She exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Her eyes were like divine ponds, bright and clear. Her aura was long and stable, and her figure was tall and straight. She stood on the spot and looked at the distant blood clouds in the sky. She was like the branches of a tree, and also like a natural eyebrow that rippled with a lush brilliance. Saint, in the distance is the crimson blood arrow of the Chaos Region's Blood Sun sect. Something big must have happened. Do you want to go and take a look? An old voice came from the depths of the robe, as if it had experienced the vicissitudes of life. Xiahong Pavilion's sword-like eyebrows slanted slightly. She pondered for a moment and said faintly, "Let's go. Let's leave the vicinity of this secret realm first. There are many powerful people in the forest ahead, and it's not good for the disciples of the sacred mountain to appear in front of others. I heard that the Blood Sun sect has a bounty for Su Yi everywhere. It might be Su Yi up ahead." The robe reminded softly from the other side. He thought that Xiahong Pavilion had made a special trip here for Su Yi, so he specially reminded her. Xiahong Pavilion adjusted her peripheral vision slightly, and a domineering and resolute emperor aura spread out from her body. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly as she muttered to herself, "Let's go. If fate wills it, we will naturally meet again. Let's leave him for a while and see how long he can turn the world upside down." As soon as she finished speaking, Xiahong Pavilion's figure flashed and disappeared into the forest. The two origin ancestor experts hidden in their robes were puzzled. Then they turned into two streaks of flowing light, retracted their auras, and followed closely behind the saint. After hearing that Su Yi had become famous and made a name for himself in the Chaos region, Xiahong Pavilion, who had just come out of seclusion, could not wait to come to the Chaos region. Now that they might have discovered Su Yi's tracks, Xiahong Pavilion had left, which made the two of them puzzled. The Chaos region was the forbidden area of the one mountain, 2 religions, 3 sects, and 4 groups. No one from the 10 great powers dared to casually step into it. This time, Xiahong Pavilion had come to the Chaos region for 2 reasons. Firstly, it was to meet Su Yi and teach him a lesson about what kind of existence the Sacred Mountain was. Secondly, It was to enter the Chaos region's secret realm and improve their cultivation. Apart from these two reasons, the more important reason was that Xiahong Pavilion had a feeling lingering in her mind. The Chaos region. When these three words were mentioned, Xiahong Pavilion's mind could not help but palpitate. This palpitating feeling gave Xiahong Pavilion, who had grown up in the Chaos region since she was young, a different feeling. Xiahong Pavilion broke through the air and looked at the boundless mountain range below her. She could not help but feel a sense of intimacy. Su-yi, before I finish exploring the Chaos region, I hope you can live well. Otherwise, you will regret provoking an existence like the sacred mountain. Xiahong Pavilion's domineering and suppressive arrogance surged in her heart. A few streaks of flowing light flew over from the distant horizon, turning into streaks of blood shadows that gradually solidified. The surrounding sea of fire was tumbling, and the trees were collapsing under the scorching heat. Broken rocks and flying ashes covered the sky and earth. Baizun brought the remaining few Origin Emperors to the fire forest at top speed. Looking at the scattered cloth, ashes, and skeletons, even the few Origin Emperors were afraid of the young man in front of them, who was like a killing god. When Baizun saw that Su Yi's figure was indeed here, he was immediately overjoyed. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Su Yi, you made it so difficult for me to find you. When he thought of the miserable situation he had to face when he entered the secret realm to find Su Yi, the fire in Baizun's heart burned even more. His eyes were filled with monstrous, killing intent. Su Yi, surrender now. Su Yi, you little thief. How dare you be so impudent? Su Yi, you have consecutively killed Origin Ancestor Realm experts of my Blood Sun sect, as well as many protectors and deacons. Now, you have even harmed my sect's elite disciples. Why don't you cut your own throat before my sword? The furious roars of the Origin Emperors shook the sky. Their monstrous aura shook one's heart. Su-yi, where's the bloodline of the Phoenix? Hand it over now. When Baizun saw that Su-yi was calm and unruffled, he was burning with rage. If it were not for his fear of Su-yi's secret treasures and the whereabouts of the Phoenix, he would have swallowed Su-yi alive on the spot. Greed, anger, stupidity, 3 poisons, 3 filth, 3 fires. Chapter 13:21. Killing me, chasing me, harming me. In the end, it's all for my Phoenix bloodline. Aren't you all doing this for the Blood Sun sect? Aren't you all doing this for those inferior elite disciples of yours? Su-yi's expression was cold and piercing, and a simple radiance spread in his bright eyes. An ancient aura swept out from his body, faintly accompanied by a dragon's roar. At this moment, in Su-yi's mind, the heaven Origin demon soul was filled with golden light. Ancient talisman? The patterns were like dragon patterns that were tightly intertwined with each other. A demonic but not evil purple light shone brightly. Within the demon's soul, a small golden dragon shadow was constantly rolling and was about to come out. Every word was sonorous and resounding. It was like a mountain that passed through the immemorial times and pressed heavily on the Blood Sun sect's Origin Emperors. Immediately, their minds were filled with fear as if they had encountered the Buddhas of the 9 heavens. Their minds felt as if they had fallen into the flames of hell and suffered greatly. Roar! A few Origin Emperors staggered and tried their best to circulate their Yuan Qi to resist. Otherwise, they would have prostrated themselves on the ground like the barbaric, demonic beasts in the distance. Baizun had yet to recover from his injuries and suffered such a severe soul suppression. Su-yi's aura was like that of an immemorial god. The heavy, ancient aura behind him reminded Baizun of the aura turbulence when he fought with the golden-winged rock shadow. Su-yi had obtained the nourishment of the immemorial golden dragon's dragon breath in the golden rock secret realm. His original Yuanyang sky bone had eventually been cultivated into Yuanyang sky dragon bone. His bones were soft, and his flesh was dozens of times tougher than an ordinary Yuanyang sky bone. Su-yi, who had obtained 9 drops of the immemorial golden dragon's blood essence and 3 wisps of the golden dragon's soul essence had fully merged with the heaven origin demon soul. This had strengthened his soul to an absolute level and had an additional dragon aura Dao connotation. The current Su Yi's soul suppression was something that ordinary origin emperors couldn't match. It's really you. You are the one who brought the golden-winged rock's fortune. Baizun's face twisted. He clenched his fists, and the sound of bones dislocating could be heard. Baizun tried his best to suppress Su Yi's soul attack. He was furious. Su Yi was already a peerless genius. Now that he had obtained the inheritance of the golden-winged rock, he was afraid that no one in the Chaos region would be able to defeat him in a few years. At that time, the Blood Sun sect would be facing its biggest threat. He couldn't let Su Yi live any longer. You have no kindness in your heart. You have wasted your life's cultivation. Even if you enter the secret realm, you will be burned by the heavenly fire and be sent to hell for eternity. We should kill him. Su Yi looked at Baizun mockingly, just like the evil dragon described by the golden-winged great punk. He was as filthy as an evil ghost. Presumptuous. As soon as Baizun finished his words, a huge blood mist spurted out 3 feet in the air. Baizun was so infuriated by Su Yi that his soul almost left his body. He couldn't care less about the injuries in his body. Blood-colored Yuan Qi soared from his feet, and his fingers turned into claws. In an instant, he clawed at Su Yi with boundless aura. The few origin emperors behind him were also trying their best to resist the heaven origin demon soul and the immemorial dragon's might. They attacked Su Yi with all their might. Before they could even take 2 steps, their faces were distorted. Large beads of sweat dripped down, and blood flowed out from their 7 orifices. The few origin emperors fell to the ground and howled. It was as if they had suffered great soul damage. Oomph. Su Yi let out a cold laugh as he stared at the blood-red claw marks that were flying towards him. His eyes were cold as he roared. Break! Ancient crimson seal! A roar came from Su Yi. At the same time, a blazing aura arose from his palms. The Yuan Qi of the Great Void Divine Sea was stirred up crazily. It carried a peerless pressure that could destroy heaven and earth. The wind howled as if a small sea of fire had gathered in front of his palms. With a rumbling sound, Su Yi's palms seemed to carry an overlord's recovery. The huge pressure of an emperor spread out. At the same time, Su Yi circulated the Origin Supreme technique with all his might. His body was surging with fighting spirit. The fire attribute Yuan Qi shook the sky, and the divine ring shone brightly. The aura was blazing hot, burning the air. It also carried an ancient pressure. This was a killer move refined from the savage scripture of the heavenly demon ancient scripture. Its power was impressive, like a surging tide. A few streams of light rushed to the sky from afar. When they saw Baizun and Su Yi fighting fiercely, they couldn't stop them in time. Wei Hong and the others stared with their eyes wide open. In an instant, time seemed to have stopped as they watched the 2 of them fight. Boom! A blood-red claw print and an unparalleled palm print of a sea of fire instantly collided in the air. Suddenly, a bright and dazzling Yuan Qi light burst out, and an incomparably violent power swept out in all directions, causing the entire jungle to tremble under the void. At the moment of collision, Su Yi shouted in his mind and summoned the demon god battlesuit. A huge gust of wind swept out, like a huge wave, like a huge tornado. The wind swept out, and the surrounding flat ground was in ruins. The deep pits and ravines were a shocking sight to behold. Thump! Thump! Su Yi staggered and retreated. With every step he took, a bottomless gully was left in the path he took. After a full 15 steps, Su Yi finally stabilized himself. He blocked it. The blood claw just now was not inferior to the life-saving blow he used against the golden-winged Great Peng. Wei Hong, Hu Kuan, Elder Nya, and Elder Tang Wang all stopped in midair. They were dumbfounded and inexplicably shocked. Su Yi has indeed inherited the golden-winged Great Peng. Several experts were certain that Su-yi had relied on the golden-winged Great Ping's inheritance to block Yuan Zhongji's terrifying killing move. Only Su-yi knew that Baizun was a Yuan Zhong expert. He had the diamond body and had successfully cultivated the Yuan Yang heavenly dragon bone. His physical strength was 1,000 times stronger than that of an ordinary Yuan void expert. He had only managed to block the strongest attack of a Yuan Zhong expert by circulating the Origin Supreme technique and the Tian Yao School's secret treasure, the Demon God Battlesuit. Su-yi was already very satisfied with this. At the very least, he now had the possibility of escaping alive when he faced a Yuan Zhong in the future. The absolute territory of a Yuan Zhong expert represented an absolute defense. Even if he was seriously injured, he could still block the powerful ancient Crimson Seal. On the other hand, Baizun, who was fighting Su-yi, was dumbstruck. He staggered slightly, and the wounds that had just healed started to open again. His vital qi was surging wildly in his body, and he could not control it. There was a taste of blood in his throat. Baizun, shameless person. Wei Hong and the others quickly came in front of Su-yi and blocked Su-yi behind them. Looking at Wei Hong, Elder Tang Wang, and the others, Su-yi felt a warm current in his heart. Elder Tang Wang had helped him time and time again, and Wei Hong had also cooperated with him several times in the secret territory. Seeing Wei Hong walk out of the secret territory safe and sound, Su-yi was very relieved. Chapter 1322. Tang Wang's unparalleled yuan qi swept out from his sleeves. His voice was like thunder and waves, resounding through heaven and earth. Baizun, has your cultivation of the Origin Ancestor Realm gone to your grandmother's house? You actually used your killing move on a junior. An overbearing and resolute aura spread out from Tang Wang's body. It was like the stars, the sun, and the moon illuminating the world. It was vast and boundless. Baizun's face darkened when he heard that. His expression kept changing as he endured the injuries in his body. He said sternly, I've said it before. Whoever fights with me over this kid will be my blood son's sex enemy. Don't blame me for being merciless. Looks like Elder Xie didn't hit you hard enough last time. With a Sky Origin sect elder like you, the Blood Sun sect won't be far from annihilation. Wei Hong didn't show the slightest weakness as he sneered disdainfully. Presumptuous. A mere Origin Emperor. I'll kill your entire clan. Baizun was completely infuriated by these people. His veins were bulging, and his face was flushed red. Do you really think my Green Cloud Hall is afraid of you? Wei Hong quickly circulated his yuan qi and prepared to fight to the death with Baizun. Elder Baizun, stop. A steady and old voice rose from the sky. It was actually Elder Nye. Seeing that both sides were at loggerheads, Elder Nye, who had been silent all this while, thought to himself. Every sect had received the news of the disappearance of the secret realm. They had all sent their ancestor-level figures to investigate. If they didn't stop the fight quickly, there would be a huge change in the Chaos Zone. Your Blood Sun sect, the Nine Stars Valley, and the Blue Cloud Palace are all first-class forces. Don't hurt the harmony between us. It's a wonderful thing for a young hero to become a heaven's pride on his own. Don't tell me you want all the sects to fight each other and suffer losses? Elder Nye looked at Baizun with a meaningful look in his eyes. Baizun's eyes were red as he looked at the four sects experts and the Origin Emperors who were screaming behind him. He felt a chill in his heart. He thought to himself that he was already seriously injured. There was no way he could gain any benefits today. The news of the disappearance of the secret realm, the injuries of the disciples of the various sects, and the deaths of a large number of Origin Emperors would spread rapidly in the Chaos Zone. The ancestor-level figures of the various sects, and even the sect master, would come personally. At that time, if Baizun caused any more trouble, it would be difficult to clean up the mess. Even though he was furious, he could only let it go. His heart was filled with hatred. Su-yi, you brat, Sangyin Palace can protect you for a lifetime, but it can't protect you forever. I hope you can live until the day this old man sees you again. Su-yi's heart sank. The corners of his mouth curled up as he laughed loudly at Baizun, whose face was covered in dust. Move mountains and tread seas. One day, I will destroy you before the Blood Sun sect. Baizun's heart skipped a beat, and his soul was shaken. Su Yi's surging fighting spirit was like a sharp sword stabbing into his chest. He felt as if he was in the middle of a sea of blood and saw the collapse of his sect. In front of the Blood Sun sect, Su Yi wielded a divine weapon and slashed at him. Baizun's body trembled as he broke out in cold sweat. He immediately activated his Yuan Qi and unleashed his absolute domain, enveloping the Origin Emperors. The Origin Emperors felt as if they had been pardoned. They regained their composure and returned to normal. They turned their heads and looked deeply at Su Yi. Their hearts were filled with hatred. In the end, they clenched their teeth and swung their hands. The group of Origin Emperors drew a line of blood and flew into the distance. Whoosh! Faced with the surging pressure of the Origin ancestor, Su Yi's mind relaxed, and his feet paused slightly. Wei Hong and Elder Nye looked at Su Yi meaningfully. Their admiration for him was beyond words. Brother Su Yi, as you said, I'm out. Wei Hong laughed loudly. Every word he said was ear-splitting. His bulging muscles shone with a dazzling metallic luster amidst the torrential flames. Su Yi looked at Wei Hong, who was like a god that had descended to the mortal world, and said loudly, Elder Wei, the heavens help the worthy. You're extraordinary. Ha! I'm liking you more and more. You're domineering and compassionate. You can achieve great things. Another round of cheers was heard. Hu Kuan and Wei Hong were chatting happily with Su Yi. Elder Nye and Tang Wang retreated to the side. Elder Nye sent a Yuan Qi message to Tang Wang's mind. Elder Tang, we're doing Su Yi a favor by becoming enemies with the Blood Sun sect. You must ask Su Yi to come to our 9 Stars Valley for a chat later. If we fail again, we won't be like Elder Tao and Elder Dong. We'll have to guard Thunder Valley for 100 years. Elder Nye's old and heavy voice echoed in Tang Wang and Elder Nye's minds. Elder Nye gave Tang Wang a look. Tao Yuenda and Dong Chongqing were the backbone of the 9 Stars Valley. They were severely punished just because they failed to invite Su Yi. It could be seen how important Su Yi was to the 9 Stars Valley and Valley Master Chen Yao. Last time, during the chess game in the 9 Stars Valley, Valley Master Chen Yao's thoughts were clear. Tang Wang was caught between a rock and a hard place. He had to make a choice. Looking at the high-spirited Su Yi, Tang Wang's heart was filled with admiration. He was amazed by this young man again and again. Looking at Elder Nye's indifferent attitude, Tang Wang shook his head helplessly and sent a message to Elder Nye. Forget it. I don't know what Su Yi plans to do after obtaining this opportunity. I'll escort him for a period of time. During this period, I'll make a request of him. I hope he'll give me some face. Elder Nye took a deep look at Su Yi and sent a message. All right. Elder Tao and Elder Dong have already returned to the sect. I'll immediately return to the sect to report the situation and await Elder Tang's good news. Su Yi didn't seem to notice Elder Nye's thoughts. He sincerely cupped his fists and bowed to Hu Kuan. Elder Hu, I've heard from Little Shuai that it was you who protected Little Shuai when I was sucked into the secret realm. My Balong sect will remember this favor. Hu Kuan waved his hand, thinking that the Phoenix bloodline had indeed gone to find Su Yi. He then said, Sect Master Su, the Phoenix bloodline is incomparably sacred. How can it fall into the hands of the Blood Sun sect? It's not worth mentioning. After saying this, Hu Kuan's expression became serious. You've thoroughly offended the Blood Sun sect. The Blood Sun sect has been a first-rate force in the Chaos region for many years and has a deep foundation. Sect Master Su, you should be more careful in the future. Su, he didn't show any fear. Looking at the distant mountain range, his heart was filled with pride as he said, the Blood Sun sect will cease to exist in the Chaos region one day. The 4 people from the Blue Cloud Hall and 9 Stars Valley looked at Su Yi's bold words, and none of them doubted him. In a short period of time, Su Yi's name had brought too much shock to the Chaos region. Right now, the Blood Sun sect should be the most worried. This thought appeared in everyone's mind. After a long silence, Tang Wang came to Su Yi's side and asked with concern, "Little friend Su Yi, what's your next step?" Chapter 1323. Su Yi frowned as he looked at Situ Muyang, who was sleeping on the ground in the distance. He thought of little handsome Su, who was also recovering in the mysterious space. He had to hurry back to the Bawang sect and reorganize his strength. "All right, let me send you off just like last time," Tang Wang said softly. Su Yi's mind raced. The last time Xia Wushu and Tang Wang had escorted him back to the sect, it was actually his own scheme to get the two origin ancestor experts to be his bodyguards. This time, Elder Tang had volunteered himself. A thought flashed through Su Yi's mind. Su Yi didn't refuse. He was already standing at the heart of the storm in the chaos zone, and one more person meant one more strength. He immediately agreed. "I can't ask for more than Elder Tang to escort me." Wei Hong, Hu Kuan, and Elder Nye saw that Su Yi was being escorted by Tang Wang and hurriedly left, citing the sect's needs. Before they left, Wei Hong patted Su Yi's shoulder and said in a low voice, "Sect Master Su, if you need my help in the future, please send someone to the Green Cloud Hall to let me know. I will do my best. If you have time, please come to the Green Cloud Hall." As Su Yi thought about the Green Cloud Hall, the image of that clingy woman, Su, immediately appeared in his mind. In the secret realm of ominous spirits, she had ruined his pursuit of the artifact spirit beast and had almost caused him to miss the opportunity to obtain the demon god battlesuit. Last time, he had spanked her, and that was interest. The broken sword in his hand had also been obtained from her. According to her, the sword was originally called the Blood Demon Killing God Sword. This piqued Su Yi's interest. As for Su of the Green Cloud Hall, as long as he met that woman, he wouldn't have a single good day. The thought of visiting the Green Cloud Hall made Su Yi shudder in his heart. He then laughed and said, "If there's a chance, there's a chance. Elder Wei, Elder Hu will meet again." Su Yi watched as Wei Hong and Hu Kuan left, gradually turning into two light spots on the horizon. Behind them, a sea of flames rose to the sky. The scorching aura caused the demonic beasts in the forest to run for their lives, and the roars of beasts shook the sky. Suddenly, three silhouettes arrived in a hurry. They were the Green Emperor and the Yin and Ming Emperors, who had rushed over after hearing the news. The speed of the Origin Emperor realm was much slower than that of the Origin Ancestor realm. The Green Emperor and the others had been waiting for Su Yi to come out from the shore of the lake. They had not seen him for a long time. The people from the Green Cloud Palace and the Nine Stars Valley had left in a hurry after the blood cloud appeared. When he saw Su Yi's figure from afar, the Green Emperor's long and narrow eyes lit up. He instantly arrived beside Su Yi and half knelt. "Master, the Green Emperor has come too late. Please forgive me." Su Yi helped the Green Emperor up. His eyes sparkled as he said, "It's okay. I haven't seen you for a few days, but your cultivation has improved a lot." The Green Emperor stood up, took a deep breath, and briefly recounted the situation after he and Su Yi had parted ways. Su Yi listened and was surprised that the three of them had encountered such a thing. Yiming gritted her teeth and said, "It's our fault. We fought with the Crimson Spirit Black Bull for too long. We wanted to take his monster core, but who knew that the old bull faked his death and almost fooled us? We even came late because of it. Master was almost invaded by the Blood Sun sect." Su Yi waved his hand as a cold glint flashed across his eyes. With a calm expression, he said, "The enmity with the Blood Sun sect has been completely formed. From today onwards, the Overlord sect will definitely seek revenge 100-fold. The three of them nodded. Thinking of the Blood Sun sect, killing intent surged in their hearts. The Green Emperor asked softly, "Master, did you really get the inheritance of the Golden Rock?" Su Yi smiled mysteriously. In the secret realm, he had been nourished by the primordial dragon breath and successfully cultivated the primordial young heavenly dragon bone. The biggest beneficiary was Little Handsome Su. Little Handsome was sucked into the Golden Rock's secret realm, and the Golden Rock recognized Little Handsome's phoenix bloodline. Originally, he wanted to open the secret realm to find the inheritance, but he changed it to help Little Handsome pass the tribulation. He had successfully passed the Golden Rock trial with the Art of Origin and helped Little Handsome pass the tribulation. He had also obtained the last inheritance of the Golden Rock. But Little Handsome, Sue, was still lying in the secret realm. He had to hurry back. You can say that. The moment the Green Emperor heard this, he heaved a sigh of relief. At the end of the day, the best outcome was that his master had reaped some benefit from this secret ground expedition. Green Emperor, you guys carry Muyang. We have to hurry back to the Bawang sect. Sui looked at the sleeping Situ and said in a deep voice, "Yes." Yang Ming and Yi Ming each carried Situ Muyang on their shoulders. Elder Tang, Green Emperor, and the others are protecting us. Will you still come with us? Sui turned around and asked. Tang Wang's beard fluttered in the wind, and his face was lined with wrinkles, depicting his age. His expression changed slightly as he said loudly, "Sui, my young friend, can't even this old man visit your overlord's sect?" "Huh." Sui laughed softly. Sui didn't refuse anymore. Although he didn't know Elder Tang's true intentions, at least he wouldn't have any ill intentions. The cultivation of the Origin Ancestor realm was far superior to that of the Origin Emperor realm. The only enemy he was worried about now was the Origin Ancestor realm experts. With Tang Wang around, the return journey would be safe. With that, the energy under their feet surged, and they flew in the direction of the Bawang sect. Sui looked ahead as he walked on the wind, and a determined light appeared in his eyes. The Green Emperor and the others followed closely behind. As they flew, the Green Emperor thought about whether he should tell Sui about his encounter. He turned around in the air and came to Sui's side. "Master, when the Yin Yang Ming and I came to find you from the lakeshore, we seem to have found something unusual. I think it's better to be careful." "Oh." Sui was puzzled. There was another reason why the Green Emperor and the Yin Yang Ming were late. Halfway there, they saw 3 mysterious people pass by. 2 of them were wearing robes and hats, and the one in the middle had an extraordinary aura. The 3 of them had restrained their auras, but there was still an Origin Ancestor aura leaking out. The 3 of them seemed to be in a hurry. One of them glanced at the Green Emperor and the others, and then looked away. It was only when the 3 of them were far away that the Green Emperor and the Yin Yang Ming rushed over. They had almost messed things up. The Green Emperor told Sui about one of the people's attire and aura in detail. Sui frowned. "Someone from the Sacred Mountain?" A gentle voice sounded in his mind. "Chinshua, do you think so too?" Sui's heart skipped a beat. The Sacred Mountain was the goal that Sui had been chasing all the time. It had been a year since the Sacred Martial Arts Assembly, and the scene from that time came to his mind again. Listening to the Green Emperor's description, the person in the middle was dressed very similar to Nalen Rongroa. After Ling Chinshua pointed out, Sui's heart rippled. According to the Green Emperor's description, it's most likely them. What are they doing in the Chaos region? Are they here to kill you? Chinshua spoke softly, and a trace of concern flashed in her tone. Chapter 1324. You're invincible among your peers, but you've made too many enemies in the Chaos region. You'd better be careful. Well, I'll deal with whatever comes my way. I'll kill whoever comes, and I'll make a profit if a pair comes. Hey, Chinshua, were you worried about me just now? I'm just worried about my body's recovery. Chinshua sneered, and her snow-white skin blushed. I really want to see your stubborn face. Humph. Ling Chinshua said softly and didn't reply. Sui smiled brightly. He felt that after Ling Chinshua woke up, she was very different from her previous arrogant and cold self. It turned out that even a demon emperor could be shy and stubborn. Thinking of this, he could not help but smile. The Green Emperor looked at Sui and smiled. He didn't say anything because he thought that Sui had already thought of a solution. He quietly retreated behind him. Deep ravines crisscrossed, and the peaks were like the sea. The verdant mountains in the distance overlapped and flickered like waves in the sea. The Chaos region was vast. After flying for half a day, the sun gradually set in the west. When it was about to touch the ridge, it was as if it was on the edge of a blade. The divine light scattered, and the golden light splashed, covering the sea of trees with a layer of rose color. Under the reflection of the setting sun in the blue sky, clouds and mist lingered in the sky. Under the clouds and mist, there was a silhouette of a city. Tang Wang took the lead and said to Su Yi behind him, "We've arrived at 9-Star City. Little friend Su Yi, it's getting late. Let's rest in 9-Star City for the night. Tomorrow, we'll set off for the Bawang sect." Su Yi pondered for a moment. Sita Muyang was seriously injured and urgently needed to recover. It was indeed inappropriate for them to travel through the night. So they slowed down and walked into 9-Star City on foot. 9-Star City. The Alliance Conference started here. 9-Star City was different from other places. It was the most prosperous city under the 9-Star Valley, and there were many powerhouses there. Su Yi didn't expect to come here again. After entering the city, the bright moon hung high in the night sky. The night breeze was gentle and the stars were scattered. In the evening, the 9-Star City was filled with fog. There were still many pedestrians on the streets. As the most prosperous city under the 9-Stars Valley, if one looked from afar, they would be able to see many exquisite jade buildings with exquisite designs. Between the jade tiles and vermilion trees, there were dozens of luxurious palaces. It could be said to be dazzling and unparalleled in the world. After Tang Wang's introduction, Su Yi and the Green Emperor's group finally had a good look at 9-Star City. Sure enough, 9-Star Valley's reputation as a first-rate force in the Chaos realm wasn't just for show. The Blue Cloud Palace and the Blood Sun sect, which were also first-rate forces, were probably not to be outdone. The cities of his overlord's sect paled in comparison to the 9-Star City in front of him, like a small magus in the presence of a great magus, a small hill in the presence of a great river. According to Huang Jian's introduction, the three first-rate forces in the Chaos region combined were no match for the Central Continent's Sacred Mountain. The Sacred Mountain. Su Yi's heart was once again shrouded in a haze. Along the way, a tower-like building rose into the sky, towering into the clouds. Lingbao Pavilion. Su Yi's heart trembled. Everywhere they went, there was a Lingbao Pavilion. It was said that the Lingbao Pavilion was distributed in the cities of every force in the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 sea. Such a huge network was not only a trading network, but also an information network. Thinking of this, Su Yi's heart turned cold. What kind of terrifying force was behind the Lingbao Pavilion? Led by Tang Wang, Su Yi, the Green Emperor, and the others soon arrived at a majestic red wall with green tiles. The words City Lord's Mansion were written on it. When the guards in front of the door saw Tang Wang, they all saluted with respect in their eyes. Entering the entrance hall, a series of pavilions and waterside pavilions came into view. Water vapor lingered in the air, painting halls and autumn waters, and tobacco were luxuriant. It was fascinating. In the middle of the waterside pavilion, a handsome man of about 35 years old sat upright. He was wearing a snow-white robe. His face was like jade, his eyes were bright like stars, and his appearance was extraordinary. His body was bursting with chi and vitality, emitting a faint radiance. Seeing Su Yi and the others enter the front hall, his eyes shone brightly. With a smile on his face, he stood up slightly and walked towards Su Yi and Tang Wang. Tang Wang saluted slightly with a respectful expression and said, "City Lord Nangong, may I ask you to come in?" "Ha! Everything is going well. Is Valley Lord in good health?" "Peaceful and auspicious." Tang Wang smiled slightly. After that, Tang Wang introduced the man in front of them to Su Yi. It turned out that the man in front of them was the city lord of this huge 9-star city, Nangong Hang. 7th level Origin Emperor. Ling Qianxue was slightly shocked. What? A 7th level Origin Emperor in his 30s. Su Yi was slightly shocked. Not only was Su Yi impressed by the man in front of him, but his elder brother, Merciless West, was only at the 3rd level Origin Emperor when he met him in the Savage Demon Forest. Later on, With the help of his spiritual pool liquid, the mysterious space, and the soul star sky replenishing elixir, he was able to rapidly increase his cultivation. This Nangong Hang's talent was too heaven-defying. He was much more powerful than those saints and saintesses in the Saint Mountain. This person's eyes are clear without any distracting thoughts. I can't see through him. Be careful and leave as soon as possible. Ling Chinchua looked at Nangong Hang with a solemn expression. All right, Su Yi thought to himself. Nine-Star Valley was indeed full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Such a peerless genius didn't hold an important position in Nine-Star Valley and was actually willing to be the city lord of a subordinate city. It was really unfathomable. Nangong Hang's eyes were like a divine pool and as deep as a valley. He sized up Su Yi from head to toe and said loudly, I guess this must be sect leader Su Yi, who has recently become famous in the Chaos region. He's actually so young. It's amazing. Nangong Hang smiled and praised. City Lord Nangong is also a dragon among men. I, Su Yi, am impressed by your profound cultivation at such a young age. Su Yi also praised. After saying that, Nangong Hang ordered the servants to bring everyone to the side room to rest first. Then, Tang Wang and Nangong Hang entered the study room. In the room, there was an antique smell. Smoke curled up and the floor was paved with diamonds. The atmosphere was extraordinary. Su Yi came to Sita Muyang's room. Sita Muyang had already woken up. His face was pale and his breath was weak. Young Marshal Granduncle. Sita Muyang saw Su Yi walk in and called out softly, You're awake. Su Yi looked at Sita Muyang with concern and tucked Sita Muyang under his blanket. The intense pain in his body caused Sita Muyang to cry out in pain. Su Yi looked at Sita Muyang and laughed softly. I thought I was being stubborn enough. I didn't expect you to be even more stubborn than me. Sita Muyang recalled the battle between him and the Blood Sun sect. He was indeed a little reckless to fight against a stage 5 Origin Void Realm expert and many Origin Void Realm experts. He couldn't help but scratch his head and chuckle. His personality is very similar to yours. Both of you love to show off. Ling Chinchua said snappily. Haha, I show off because I have the ability. Su Yi replied softly. After saying that, Su Yi couldn't help but exclaim in his heart. A 17-year-old Origin Void Realm expert was already considered a top talent among the human race. Chapter 1325. Mu Yang, why did you come to the Chaos region? Su Yi didn't mention the Xinjiang Gate. The Xinjiang Gate was a hurdle in his heart that he couldn't get over, but Su Yi had always been worried about Mu Yang. Junior Martial Uncle, I haven't heard from you since you left through the spatial crack in the Sacred Martial Assembly. I've been looking for you everywhere. Sita Muyang's expression was gloomy. Sita Muyang knew that Su Yi had a grudge against the Xinjiang Gate. Yin Ling Feng framed Su Yi, but the Xinjiang Gate didn't blame Yin Ling Feng. After all, Su Yi was dead, and Yin Ling Feng had inherited the ancestors' opportunity. In the future, the Xinjiang Gate would have to rely on Yin Ling Feng to support it. In the end, Yin Ling Feng only received a punishment of facing the wall for 3 years. After the Sacred Martial Assembly, the Battle Sacred Mountain, and leaving the Central Continent, Sita Muyang didn't give up on searching for Su Yi. In his heart, Su Yi wouldn't disappear so easily. Unknowingly, Su Yi had become his life's goal. When Sita Muyang saw Su Yi, he smiled happily like a child. It was like a ray of sunlight shooting into Su Yi's heart. Later on, I heard that you were in the Chaos region and stirred up a storm there. As soon as I came out of seclusion, I immediately came to find you. Sita Muyang's eyes were filled with admiration. It's too dangerous here. You shouldn't have come. If I wasn't here, what would you have done? Su Yi still had a lingering fear. He originally wanted to see how much Sita Muyang had improved. However, Liu Yang's sudden outburst had almost cost him his life in the Blood Sun sect. What are you afraid of? Junior Martial Uncle, if you're not afraid, then I'm even less afraid. Sita Muyang pouted and frowned. His unyielding look affected his injuries, causing Situ Muyang to grimace in pain. Su Yi looked at Situ Muyang. His heart was moved, but he didn't show it. Junior Martial Uncle, actually, many people in the sect miss you. Elder Su was very happy when he heard that you were famous in the Chaos region. It's the first time I've seen him so happy. Elder Su was short, but he was like a mountain in Su Yi's heart. To Su Yi, Suruga was both his master and father. When he thought of Suruga, Su Yi had an indescribable feeling in his heart. He wondered if Elder Su was doing well. Actually, there's also my father. He always hoped. Sita Myong looked at Su Yi. He didn't know how to say it. Before his father left, he hoped that he could persuade Su Yi to return to the Xinjiang Gate. The Xinjiang Gate wasn't what Su Yi thought. Situ Muyang, who was stuck in the middle, naturally wanted to see Su Yi return to the Xinjiang Gate. Yin Ling Feng didn't like it either. However, when he saw Su Yi again, Su Yi was no longer who he used to be. He had a noble temperament and an awe-inspiring aura between his eyebrows. Situ Muyang knew that he was getting further and further away from this man, and this man was also getting further and further away from the Xinjiang Gate. Su Yi naturally knew Situ Muyang's intention. He didn't answer. The two of them were silent. After a long while, Su Yi remembered that there was also a nuisance in the Xinjiang Gate, Mu Yao. He asked casually, Mu Yang, do you know the origin of Mu Yao? Mu Yao. Why would little grand uncle suddenly ask about her? Sita Muyang wasn't a disciple of the Xinjiang Gate. He had only met Mu Yao a few times. The young and inexperienced Mu Yao had no interest in women. He only wanted to pursue the peak of martial arts. I'm just asking, didn't you mention the Xinjiang Gate just now? She hates me so much. She can't possibly miss me, right? Su Yi interrupted. Disgusting. You think everyone misses you. Ling Qinxue said softly. Su Yi's rascally appearance really made Ling Qinxue speechless. No, Qinxue. Do you still remember the promise of the Golden Rock? You mean the Golden Rock Pearl? Su Yi's words made Ling Qinxue fall into deep thought. Yes, Mu Yao has the half-demon body of the Golden Winged Rock. Her bloodline is much more complete than Yin Lin's. The Golden Rock's pearl was left behind in the mainland. After so many years, it's hard to say if the Mu Yao clan got it. It's possible. A half-demon body can't be formed casually. Moreover, it's a supreme demon like the Golden Winged Rock. Ling Qinxue nodded secretly. So, if it's really left behind by the Golden Rock, I have to fulfill my promise. Although that woman is just as annoying. Su Yi thought of Mu Yao's unrelenting attitude and frowned. Ha ha, I don't know about that. However, I know that she was brought into the sect by a Grand Supreme Elder. Moreover, that Grand Supreme Elder and Elder Su have a good relationship. Sita Muyang winked at Mu Yang. Oh, I see. Looks like I have to ask Elder Su properly when I meet him later. Su Yi seemed to have understood something and made up his mind. After saying that, Su Yi took out a bottle of spiritual liquid and gave it to Sita Muyang. He told him to recuperate well and to hurry back to the Bawang sect tomorrow. Sita Muyang and Su Yi didn't stand on ceremony. When they saw the spiritual liquid, their eyes lit up. They immediately swallowed it and began to meditate. Su Yi glanced at Mu Yang. A warm feeling flowed through his heart, and he left the room. Su Yi raised his head and looked at the sky. The night moon was like a curved hook hanging high in the sky. The quiet night breeze was refreshing. Whoosh! Su Yi pondered for a moment. The vital qi under his feet surged. He instantly climbed up the wall and disappeared into the night. Where are you going? Ling Qinxue looked at Su Yi. It's still early. I'm going out for a walk. I'll take you shopping. Su Yi said mysteriously with a smile in his eyes. At night, there were still many pedestrians on the streets of Nine Star City. The street was brightly lit, and the street vendors were constantly shouting. Su Yi soon arrived in front of the tower-like Spirit Treasures Pavilion. Why are you here? Do you want to buy something? Ling Qinxue was puzzled. Tell me, if you recover your physical body, will you be wearing clothes or naked? Su Yi raised his head and nodded in confusion. You're shameless. Ling Qinxue followed Su Yi's train of thought. Her essence core had exploded and turned into a ghost. If she recovered her physical body, she would naturally be naked. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but blush. She looked extremely shy. That's why I brought you here to buy clothes. We're rich now. We don't lack money. He waved the space bag in his hand that he had obtained from the remnants of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. There were dozens of Tao artifacts inside, as well as all kinds of mystic weapons, spirit weapons, and moon-grade pills. More importantly, there were more than billions of 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star prenatal stones. The current he was like a nouveau riche. Buying clothes for Ling Qianxue was naturally not a problem. Oh, I thought. Ling Qianxue understood that this was what Sui meant. She misunderstood Sui again. She was really ashamed. On second thought, it was Sui who had led her into a trap. He really looked cheap. Chapter 1326. The Spirit Treasures Pavilion was the largest trading house in the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 sea. They usually provided services through the night so that traveling cultivators could exchange for what they wanted at any time. Who goes there? The guard at the door raised his weapon and shouted coldly. Sui took out the black card and waved it in the air with an indifferent look in his eyes. Sui had learned how to act when dealing with an organization like the Spirit Treasures Pavilion that was usually arrogant. Black card VIP. This trick was indeed effective as a trace of fear flashed across the guard's eyes. Please wait a moment. I will go in and report to the pavilion lord. The guard immediately ran into the pavilion in a hurry. And Sui didn't look sideways as he let out a deep sound from his mouth. In a short while, a graceful lady followed behind the guard. She had a perfect body, almond eyes, and an oval face. She wore a light green dress and walked in leisurely. The lady approached. She was at the 6th layer of the Origin Void Realm and was about 21 or 22 years old. If she was outside, she would definitely be a genius. With light steps, a fragrance drifted in the air. The lady's 2 hands were loosely overlapped as her right hand covered her left hand. She bowed slightly and said softly, I am Yun Xiang. I am under Lord Ying's order to lead young Master Sui into the pavilion. You know me? Sui's heart skipped a beat. He hadn't even entered, but the Spirit Treasures Pavilion already knew that he was here. This information collection was too heaven-defying. Yun Xiang covered her face and smiled. Of course I know. Young Master is a peerless genius. Black Card VIP is also very rare in the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 sea. If the Spirit Treasures Pavilion knew all the black cards in the Chaos region, they would be unworthy of their name. Yun Xiang's voice was gentle like an orchid in an empty valley. It softened one's heart and made one feel extremely comfortable. Finishing her words, Yun Xiang walked forward and led Sui into a large hall. From the outside, the Spirit Treasure Tower did not occupy a large area, but the Spirit Treasure Hall at the bottom floor was very spacious. Inside, there was a boiling cauldron of voices and a sea of people. Not only were there counters for the Spirit Treasure Pavilion, but there were also countless stalls for vagrant cultivators and wandering cultivators. They could trade on their own, and the Spirit Treasure Pavilion would only charge a processing fee. Yun Xiang explained patiently to the curious Sui as she walked forward. The deeper they went, the more abundant the spiritual qi became. Compared to the shallow spiritual qi outside, the spiritual qi here was very abundant. Sui used his primordial qi to explore and was surprised to find that the abundant spiritual qi here did not come from the sun and moon. There are all kinds of spiritual weapons and elixir pills. There are also rogue cultivators coming and going. The spiritual qi on their bodies is more abundant than outside. However, this sealed space is so dense. There must be a secret treasure. Ling Qianxue said softly in her mind. With her cultivation of the Demon Emperor realm, she could sense it very quickly. Sui repeated Ling Qianxue's words to Yun Xiang. A trace of surprise flashed across Yun Xiang's eyes. Young noble Sui has good eyesight. A great city like 9-Star City is a place where all the powers gather. In order for the Spirit Treasure Pavilion to become the trading center of a great city, The headquarters would build a tower like this in the city. They would bury an ore vein at the bottom of the tower and suppress it. It would connect with the worldly energy and absorb the sun, moon, and gold to have an endless supply of worldly energy. He was in a daze while Yun Xiang continued to explain. This is done so that outsiders can see the great wealth and power of the Spirit Treasure Pavilion, so that they won't dare to cause trouble. Moreover, every inner member of the Spirit Treasure Pavilion can cultivate in the Spirit Treasure Pavilion. Outsiders, as long as they pay enough fees, or disciples of great sects who have cooperated with the Spirit Treasure Pavilion for many years, can freely enter the top of the Spirit Treasure Pavilion. So amazing! Su Yi and Ling Qianxue exclaimed at the same time. Outside of each city having an or vein, just the fact that the Spirit Treasure Pavilion was able to protect these or veins showed that there were many experts and talents inside the pavilion. The Spirit Treasure Pavilion's power was not much different from the contemporary Heavenly Command Palace. Su Yi shuddered as he recalled the beautiful figure with a white veil covering her face in the barbaric demon forest. She had a perfect figure with long hair that reached her waist. Was this the Lan who gave him the black card back then? Sexier. She was a woman in her 50s with an unfathomable aura. Judging from attendant Wu calling her a goddess, one could see her status in the Spirit Treasure Pavilion. Su Yi had a new understanding of the Spirit Treasure Pavilion. The weak were prey to the strong, and the martial Tao was supreme. The Bawang sect and Su Yi were still very insignificant and needed to quickly grow up. While he was thinking, Yin Xiang brought Su Yi through the main hall and a corridor to a room located in the deepest part of the first floor of the Spirit Treasure Pavilion. After entering the room, a wave of spirit energy washed over them. In the middle of the room was a stone platform filled with dazzling primal energy. Spatial teleportation stone? Ling Qianxue softly said. Young noble Su, please wait here for a moment. Serene is meeting a guest. Please wait a moment. I will bring young noble Su to meet Serene. Finished speaking, Yun Xiang turned around and walked away with lotus blooming with each step. She looked like a beautiful flower with a celestial beauty as she walked far away. Su Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he softly said, Say, if I told that pavilion lording that I only came here to buy some clothes, would he beat me to death? Ha! Then you can buy some more. You don't lack money anyway. Ling Qianxue squinted her beautiful eyes as her green feathers curved into a crescent moon. Ling Qianxue acted as if this matter had nothing to do with her. She thought, who asked you to tease me earlier? Now you'll be laughed at. Did you just say that this is a spatial teleportation stone? There's a mineral vein below. With so much energy, it shouldn't be a problem to use it more. It's just that it is too extravagant. So he thought, it's not extravagant. It's because each floor has its own space. Ling Qianxue curled her lips and quietly said. Su Yi's heart tightened. There were so many floors in this spirit treasure tower, and each floor had its own space. Thinking about it carefully, it made sense. Each floor had a different layout. For example, the first floor was a trading hall with many complicated transactions. The second floor was dedicated to medicinal pills. The third floor had all kinds of magical treasures and Tao treasures. The fourth floor had formations and merit laws. Each floor was a treasure trove. Not only could the space be used to guard against thieves, it was also easy to manage and prevent the spirit energy from mixing. But this is too awesome. Su Yi wryly smiled in his heart. He originally wanted to go to the Spirit Treasure Pavilion to buy some clothes for Ling Qianxue before returning to the sect. He didn't want to see this pavilion lording, but now he was really going to be a joke. Su Yi's mind quickly turned as an idea flashed through his mind. Big Brother asked me to help him find the 9 Revolution Dragon Scale Grass. I wonder if it's here? I'll ask him later. Su Yi finally thought of a reason. If his big brother couldn't find it, then it should be very rare in this world. He could ask the Spirit Treasure Pavilion to help him find it. Your big brother? He actually wants the dragon scale grass? Ling Qianxue inquired. Ling Qianxue thought, although this sly brat looks like he's not serious, he's always thinking about the people around him. Su-yi was about to answer when a yellow oriole's voice came from behind. Chapter 13:27. The newcomer was indeed Yin Xiang. She was gentle and dignified with light steps, as if she had just walked out of a painting. She came to Su-yi's side and gently bowed with a smile on her lips. Her actions were gentle and courteous. Su-yi sighed in his mind. Did every branch of the Spirit Treasure Pavilion in this strategic town have such stunning beauties? No wonder all the beauties stayed in the Spirit Treasure Pavilion. With such abundant spirit energy, the pavilion was much more suitable for martial cultivation than any other place. Only a behemoth like the Spirit Treasure Pavilion could cultivate such a peerless genius. Yin Xiang walked past Su-yi like a gentle breeze as she walked towards the spatial transfer stone without blinking. Thump, thump! Suddenly, a masked man dressed in black with his face completely covered suddenly burst out with energy. He bent his body and half-knelt behind Yin Xiang. He cupped his fists and respectfully said, "Miss Yin Xiang, there are rogue cultivators causing trouble in the hall." Because the price was not negotiated, Yin Shichio of the Cloudy Sun School fought with another rogue cultivator, causing chaos in the hall. Right now, the two of them are under control and awaiting Miss Yin Xiang's orders. Yin Xiang didn't turn her head. She held onto the teleportation stone and stared at the teleportation stone. The teleportation stone emitted a faint radiance that shone on her snow-white face and red lips. Her voice was still sweet and gentle, but it was a little sharper. The Spirit Treasure Pavilion does not allow anyone to make a move. Are they deaf? Very well. Qingke, go find out who made the first move. Chop off the hand that made the first move. Also, since they're all deaf, cut off one of their ears. It is useless to keep them anyway. Su-yi's scalp went numb after hearing this. What kind of rule was this? It was too vicious, and it came from Miss Yin Xiang's mouth. Fierce killing and decisive action, not as weak as he looks on the surface. Ling Qinshue's expression slightly changed as she exclaimed, "Yes." The man called Qingke by Yin Xiang slowly dissipated. His body gradually sank and softened before disappearing into a puddle of water on the ground. Immediately after, from the huge hall behind him, 3 screams like that of pigs being slaughtered could be heard. Along with the breeze, they drifted through the entire first floor of the Spirit Treasure Tower. What a terrifying water attribute Yuan Qi. It's gone. Su-yi's pupils constricted. Even if it was Su-yi who was at the 9th level of the Origin Void stage, it was still impossible for him to conceal himself on the spot. It's a water element concealment technique. It's a very powerful camouflage technique. The 9 Lives Lynx clan was good at hiding. Back then, it was Ling Qinshuo who used her clan's concealment technique to bring Su-yi and Handsome Su to the barbaric demon forest to escape the pursuit of her enemies. This person used the surrounding water vapor to form a barrier in front of his eyes. From the outside, it looked like he had turned into a pool of clear water. Actually, he used the sparkling light of the water vapor crystal to escape with a teleportation technique. However, his speed is commendable and his strength is not bad. Ling Qinshuo explained in a low voice. Wow, this Spirit Treasures Pavilion is really full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. I really can't speak carelessly when I go in later. Su-yi muttered to himself. The Spirit Treasures Pavilion was really interesting. Young Master Su, let's go. Yin Xiang gestured for Su-yi to go over. She looked at Su-yi with a smile that was filled with tender feelings like spring water. However, at this moment, Su-yi could not help but shudder and became extremely alert. Since we're here, let's just take things as they come. Su-yi walked to the side of the teleportation stone with an attitude of, let's just take things as they come. There was a round ball placed in the middle of the teleportation stone niche. The round ball emitted a sparkling green light that illuminated the engraved 12 WYRMS that extended out from the center. Each WYRMS were lifelike with their mouths wide open and their roars shook the sky. Ka 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 ka. Yin Xiang's sleeves moved slightly. In the blink of an eye, 12 pieces of 3-star origin stones were accurately placed into the mouths of the 12 WIRMS. The 12 WIRMS seemed to have come alive in an instant. The golden light in the WIRMS eyes shone brightly as they bared their fangs and brandished their claws. They revolved around the round ball and began to stir above the stone niche. Roar, roar! The entire room was illuminated by the 12 golden WIRMS. The roars of beasts shook the sky along with the cries of the dragons. The dragons spun faster and faster and created a small tornado around the stone niche. It headed straight for Su, Yi, and Yun Xiang. The dragon's roars resonated as they turned into a tornado that was as warm as a spring breeze. It blew on Su Yi's face like the caress of beauty, causing Su Yi to unconsciously close his eyes. When he opened his eyes again, Su Yi was already outside of a stone pavilion with the word 12 carved on the stone door. Su Yi guessed that this was the 12th floor of the Spirit Treasure Tower. Yun Xiang signaled for Su Yi to wait outside of the stone door. She then opened the door and went in to report. Since he had nothing to do, Su Yi turned around and looked down through the window. The north wind was howling high up in the sky, causing Su Yi to hold his breath. Outside the window, the sea of clouds was rolling, bobbing up and down. It was as if he was at the shore of the sea. The pure white clouds floated and danced wantonly under the clear moonlight. Amidst the rolling clouds, the 9 star-like lights reflected each other. The entire structure of 9 Star City was faintly discernible amidst the clouds and mist. Sometimes it was still like a withered tree. Sometimes it was like a giant tiger. Sometimes it was like a dragon soaring in the sky. Su Yi became infatuated and gradually became intoxicated as he entered a state of selflessness. The 9-star heavenly ocean is one of the most beautiful places in our Spirit Treasure Pavilion. Yun Xiang suddenly appeared behind Su Yi. After calming down from the sea of clouds, Su Yi looked at Yun Xiang with her bright eyes and snow-white lips as if she was a goddess descending to the mortal world. 9-star heavenly ocean. Su Yi became curious. There is a forbidden ground in the 9-star valley called the Thunder Sealing Valley. The original form of the 9-star heavenly ocean is the 9-star Calamity Sea. So that's how it is. Su Yi suddenly understood. No wonder there were 9 stars. Even if it was just a replica, it still made him infatuated. Young noble Su, let's go in. Sir Ying's visit will be over soon. Finished speaking, she led Su Yi to open the stone door. Then, they passed through a small stone path with lush greenery on both sides. Strange flowers and plants were scattered all over the place with dense spirit energy. Su Yi and Yun Xiang continued to inquire about the mysteries of the 9-star heavenly ocean and the Spirit Treasure Tower. Before he finished speaking, a man wearing a yellow robe and a hat came from the front. His black hair was like a waterfall, and his aura was tightly restrained. However, it still couldn't stop the frightening aura emitted from his body. It was as if a Saint King had descended as a sacred aura filled the small path. So powerful. Su Yi's expression shook as his heart slightly paused. While chatting, he felt a huge pressure like an ancient mountain pressing down on him. Su Yi hurriedly channeled the Origin Supreme art as his aura surged. Only then was he able to resist the terrifying pressure in his soul. At this moment, the mysterious man's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise before he calmly disappeared into the small path. When Su Yi raised his head again, there was no trace of him. Su Yi only felt that his eyes were playing tricks on him. Chapter 1328. Are you talking about that young noble? He is Sir Ying's guest. He is here to cultivate on the top floor. Can you tell me his name? Su Yi regretted at the moment he said it. Earlier, he learned from Miss Yun Xiang that the Spirit Treasure Tower had a total of 88 floors. The Tower Master was on the 12th floor. Above the 12th floor, there were secret rooms for outsiders to cultivate in. From the bottom to the top, each floor was harder than the last. The spirit energy in each floor was denser than the last, and each floor required a higher level of talent than the last. Outside of talent, One needed to be a VIP of the Spirit Treasure Pavilion, as well as a sect backing the cultivator. To be able to cultivate on the top floor of the Spirit Treasure Pavilion, this person must be a VIP. How could an organization like the Spirit Treasure Pavilion casually leak the information of a VIP? Sure enough, just as Sui expected, Yunxiang only smiled without saying anything and gently shook her head. Sui couldn't help but feel embarrassed. His smile disappeared as he followed Yunxiang forward while thinking about the man from earlier. Could it be the person mentioned by the Green Emperor? While he was thinking, Sui followed the graceful and fairy-like figure, going back and forth along the path of the flying eaves and finally arriving outside a house. Pushing open the door of the house, he saw that the furnishings inside the house were simple, but it was quite simple and elegant. The floor was covered with a soft brocade carpet, which was decorated with a huge sea dragon facing the wind and waves. It was very domineering. In the middle was a large table made of sandalwood and marble. On top of the table was a square cauldron with smoke rising in spirals. On the left and right were 2 rows of rosewood shelves with corals and white jade chimes hanging from them. It was a graceful and luxurious scene with an extraordinary aura. On the 2 walls were several pictures of mountain pines and clouds, as well as records of strange beasts such as tigers and leopards. They seemed to have come out of the paintings with great pressure. On the left corner were several large brush pots with dozens of calligraphy and paintings inside. The brushes were arranged like trees. On the right corner were several pots of green plants. The naturally modeled walls had vines climbing up them, creating a beautiful contrast. Tower Master, young noble Su has arrived. After Yunxiang finished her report, she smiled at Su-yi before leaving the room and closing the wooden door. Whoosh! The emerald green door curtain was lifted, and a figure walked out of the study. He saw an old man around the age of 70. He was of medium height, had a tall and straight figure, and his hair was loose like a crane. He was hale and hearty, and his purple satin robe fluttered even though there was no wind. The old man's face was full of wrinkles, showing the vicissitudes of life. The old man's body was filled with an extraordinary and old aura, and the invisible aura on his body was very similar to that of Suruga. Greetings, Sect Master Su. The old man's voice was as loud as a bell. He spoke at a steady pace. An absolute expert. Su-yi sighed in his heart. His cultivation at the 9th level of the Origin Void stage was actually completely unable to see through the cultivation of this old man before him. So strong. Ling Qinshue's beautiful face also turned cold. This was the strongest human she had seen so far. In front of the elder, Ling Qinshu felt that she was like a grain of sand in the vast ocean, not daring to compete with the bright moon. Even you can't see through it? If even Ling Qinshu couldn't see through it, then it wasn't something that Su-yi could casually challenge. When the old man approached, boundless attribute energy instantly filled the wooden room. If it was anyone else, they would have long since prostrated themselves on the ground and didn't dare look straight at him. What a strong soul suppression. Su-yi stopped letting his imagination run wild and swiftly withdrew his mind before circulating the Origin Supreme technique and Heaven Control technique with all his strength. At the same time, he urged the Heaven Origin Demon Soul within his body. The Heaven Origin Demon Soul was accompanied by the golden dragon silhouette as it bloomed with a dazzling light within his sea of consciousness. The purple light of the demon soul that was demonic yet not evil intertwined with the golden dragon's remnant soul. The dragon's soul soared into the sky, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as if it lay across the blue sky. The dragon's aura suffused the air as if it had passed through the primeval times, and waves of clear dragon roars gushed out from Su-yi's surroundings. At this moment, Su-yi's entire body was covered in divine radiance, and he was like a god. In an instant, the blood and chi in Su-yi's body stopped churning. His footsteps became firm, and his eyes gradually became clear. He had completely repelled the powerful aura of the other party. What a perverted soul power! Ling Qinxue was secretly astonished as she bit her lips lightly. Su Yi's soul power is comparable to the soul suppression of an origin ancestor. Ling Qinxue's heart was in turmoil. Her soul cultivation of the origin emperor was inferior to Su Yi's. Oh! The old man's eyes flashed with slight surprise as he laughed maniacally. I've long heard that the Chaos region has a rare genius. Seeing you today, you are indeed extraordinary. I'm Ing Wuxiu. Greetings, sect master of the Bawang sect. At this moment, Su Yi took a deep breath. His clothes were already soaked in sweat. Then, as if nothing had happened, he smiled lightly and said, Greetings, sect mastering. After saying that, Ing Wuxiu gestured for Su Yi to sit down. He withdrew his aura, and a circle of energy was expelled from the room. Dust and debris formed a circle and surged outwards. Su Yi immediately withdrew his aura and felt much more at ease. As he sat down, he tilted his head and looked at Ing Wuxiu, his eyes filled with surprise. Ing Wuxiu smiled as he took out 2 teacups from the tea tray. Warm herbal tea filled the teacups immediately. Ing Wuxiu's yuan qi surged again. With a wave of his sleeve, one of the teacups landed firmly in Su Yi's hand. The teacup was still emitting smoke. Not a single drop spilled out, and the warmth spread through Su Yi's palm. Is the fire element yuan qi so strong? Ling Qinshue's doubtful voice sounded again. Ing Wuxiu was calm and composed. With a smile on his face, he looked at Su Yi kindly. You grew up in a small barbarian city, but you received a black card from the Spirit Treasure sect, entered the Xinjian Gate, defied the heavens with your own cultivation, won the Myriad Sword Conference, participated in the Sacred Martial Conference, and then came to the Chaos region. In just 1 year, you started from a third-rate force. 7-star Sword School, Gimdeo sect, Heavenly Spider sect, and then destroyed the Green Sanctuary sect. Even the Jade Tripod sect was trampled by the Bawang sect. At the age of 18 or 19, you've already reached the 9th level of the Origin Void stage. Your talent is rare. In just a few words, Ing Wuxiu described Su Yi's experiences to the best of his ability. He even saw through Su Yi's current cultivation level. Su Yi's heart skipped a beat. I'm just a mortal, but Pavilion Master Ing and the Spirit Treasure sect are paying a lot of attention to me. Su Yi smiled awkwardly. He felt like he was being watched all the time. It was as if he was running naked. It was very uncomfortable. As expected, there was always someone better in the Chaos region. His every move could not escape the eyes of others. After returning to the sect, he had to quickly deploy the intelligence network of the Shadow Hall. Sect Master Su, you must be joking. How could a mortal be able to make the Yama King, Merciless West, and Impermanence Fairy, Yu Chiohan, willingly follow his orders? The Spirit Treasures sect will naturally not miss out on the talent of a prodigy. Ing Wuxiu said indifferently. This kid has been determined to be his servant. Su Yi thought of the Sacred Mountains examination. It felt like a lifetime ago. Along the way, he had defied the heavens and changed his fate, creating one miracle after another. The Sacred Mountain has done a lot of stupid things these years. Chapter 1329. Hearing those words, Su Yi felt a sense of novelty. The Holy Mountain had always been the holy land of cultivation in everyone's hearts. When the Holy Mountain was mentioned, all of them longed for it. Even Wang Chuanda was like a holy king when he arrived in Barbarian City, looking down on the world. Needless to say, those saints' sons and saintesses were all arrogant and haughty. Unfortunately, Nalan Ryu was also defeated by him. Ha ha! Pavilion Master Ying's words are truly shocking. Su Yi couldn't help but feel a sense of closeness to the old man in front of him. As the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Those who scold the Sacred Mountain are my friends. Haha, I'm old. I don't have any scruples when I see things I don't like. I like to say a few words, but I have to rely on my temperament. Sect Master Su, please don't laugh at me. Ing Wuxiu said with a smile. Pavilion Master Ying's heroic spirit is soaring to the heavens. I'm impressed. Su Yi exclaimed. His expression brightened as he gradually let down his guard. Sect Master Su, you kill fiercely and do things decisively. You became sworn brothers with the sacred martial saints and gained the title of King of Heaven's Pride. When it comes to it, it's just a matter of personal feelings. Su Yi smiled bitterly. His sworn brothers, Su Chun and Yin Lin, were nowhere to be found. He sighed in his heart. To be able to establish the Boang sect within a year, gain the favor of the Sacred Mountain, have the Shunjian Gates elders fight for a disciple, have the Blue Cloud Palace, 9 Stars Valley, and even have the favor of the Heavenly Palace, Sect Master Su, is the first one in my long history. Hearing him say that, you're really quite strong. Ling Qinshui raised her eyebrows and joked with Su Yi. You just found out. I'm just that outstanding. If he could see it, Su Yi would have rolled his eyes a long time ago. It's just luck, Su Yi said modestly. Hidden deep like a valley. Not showing your sharpness, showing off when necessary. You have the heart of a great hero. I wonder how Sect Master Su will face the Blood Sun sect and the Sacred Mountain? If gods block the way, we'll kill gods. If devils block the way, we'll kill devils. We'll draw out the Netherworld Palace fire and burn the entire world. Disgusting. If the Sacred Mountain blocks it, trample it flat. If the Blood Sun blocks it, just shoot through it. What a disgusting phrase. Sect Master Su had the means of Xingtian, but he also had the heart of a bodhisattva. If he wanted to walk the path of a bodhisattva, he had to first become a hell demon. Sect Master Su, your future is limitless. To be honest, you suit this old man's taste very well. Ing Wuxiu's expression was as calm as an ancient well. He was in high spirits and arrogant spirits. Su Yi's qi and blood surged, his fighting spirit surged, and his arrogance soared to the sky. As he spoke, he took out a rune stone and handed it to Su. Sect Master Su, we had a pleasant chat. How about we become close friends? I'll leave this little toy for you to use. I can't accept this. Su Yi was a little scared. They had become close friends while chatting. Su Yi was a little confused. Pavilion Master Ing was also a sentimental person. Take it quickly. I'll tell you what it's for later. Ling Qinshui was impatient, hoping that Su Yi would accept the mysterious rune stone quickly. You can trust me with anything you want. Ing Wuxiu smiled and gently placed it in Su Yi's hand. Precious treasure. With the rune stone in his arms, a warm feeling spread throughout his body. His limbs and bones were extremely soft. The rich spiritual qi of heaven and earth slowly seeped into his flesh and soul. The mysterious light seemed to have sensed it, and a rich qi merged with the rune stone. This feeling made Su Yi feel that this must be a valuable treasure. One should not receive a reward without any effort. Su Yi felt uneasy receiving such a valuable gift. A good horse deserves a good saddle, and a good item is given to a hero. Schoolmaster Su is worthy of such praise. My spirit treasure tower is located in 9 Star City. How much do you know about 9 Star Valley? Ing Wuxiu slowly nodded and spoke with a gentle tone. At this time, in the study of the city lord's mansion, the light was dim and the smoke rose, reflecting 2 figures. One was tall and the other was slightly hunched. One was the talented 9 Star City lord, Nangong Hang. The other was Elder Tang Wang, who brought Su Yi and the others in a 9 Star City. The 2 whispered in the study. Then their voices grew louder and louder. What a joke. I, Tang Wang, am an upright person. Even 9 Star Valley is a first-rate force in the Chaos region. What's the difference between this and the Jade Tripod Alchemy clan? Hearing Tang Wang's words, Nangong Hang's eyes were filled with coldness. He said coldly, Elder Tang, don't disappoint the Valley Lord. Everything should be done for the big picture. Tang Wang snorted and said, As for the Valley Lord, I will personally report this to him. How can we face the ancestors of Thunder Valley and the living ancestors of the Thunder Valley? The 1,000 years of foundation of 9 Star Valley will be destroyed in a day. It seems like Elder Tang wants to go with Elder Tao and Elder Dong to guard the ancestor for 100 years. Hearing this, Tang Wang's heart skipped a beat. Back then, he stopped Tao Yuanda and Dong Chongqing from bringing Su Yi back to the valley, causing Tao Yuanda and Dong Chongqing to be punished for 100 years by the Valley Lord. It was undoubtedly a death sentence for the two of them. Regarding this matter, Tang Wang had always felt guilty, which was why he promised Elder Nye that he would invite Su Yi into the Nine Stars Valley. However, he definitely wouldn't use the forceful method that Nan Gonghang suggested to send Su Yi back to the Nine Stars Valley. If that was the case, what was the difference between Nine Star Valley and Blood Sun Sect? How could Nine Star Valley establish itself in the Chaos region? Tang Wang was a righteous person. His sunken eyes were filled with determination as he said in a muffled voice, "You don't have to worry about this matter, Mayor Nan Gong. This Tang has my own plans. Although I am in the mayor's mansion, this is Nine Star Valley after all. It is not up to you to decide. It is getting late, Mayor Nan Gong. You should rest early. This Tang is a little tired." After saying this, Tang Wang didn't look at Nan Gonghang. Yuan Qi surged under his feet, and a gust of wind blew under his feet. He stepped out and pushed the wooden door open. Bang! The wooden door was slammed shut. The strong wind caused the candlelight on the table to flicker and extinguish continuously. The pitch-black smoke from the candlelight spiraled up into the air. The flickering candlelight revealed Nan Gonghang's twisted face. His eyes were filled with coldness. Another heavy sound was heard as Nan Gonghang slammed his palm on the corner of the table. The entire table cracked and turned into fine powder. "Old man, you are so stubborn and ignorant. If you ruin my plan, I will make sure you lose your life in Thunder Valley." Nan Gonghang's thin figure stood in the study room, appearing extremely cold. Nine Star Valley, Blue Cloud Palace, and Blood Sun Sect were all first-rate forces in the Chaos region. Originally, Su Yi thought that Blue Cloud Palace was the strongest. However, after coming to this prosperous Nine-Star city, he finally knew how powerful Nine Star Valley was. This made Su Yi have to take it seriously. Ing Wuxiu looked at Su Yi and nodded lightly, indicating for Su Yi to continue speaking. "The Nine Star Valley Master once sent 2 of his elders to capture me back to the valley. I don't know what his intentions are." Su Yi gritted his teeth in hatred. "Do you know that the 2 elders were severely punished by Chun Yao because they didn't bring you into the valley? They had to guard the forbidden area of Thunder Valley for 100 years. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.